Hey, thank you for the follow. Oh, there it is. There's the spam. Spam eliminated. Ooh, 3-part spam. Love it. Love it. High quality spam. Right? Starting off hot. Well, that follower's going to be gone in a few days. Last time. It's the way she goes, boy. It's the way she goes. Wagwan. Happy Friday. Hey, Mika. Baby. Come here, paw. That's a good paw. Good paw. Gets good peanut. Good girl. Bonk. 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 Bye-bye. What are you doing? Okay. Play some Factorio while we wait for people to come in, huh? We wait for people to come in. Yes, we do. What are you doing? What are you doing, doggy? You want to come and say hello? Come here. Why don't you come here? Why don't you come on this chair, huh? Why don't you get over on this chair, huh? Come here, baby. Come here, baby. Come and say hello to the folks. Yes. Come here. Come here. Come on. Good girl. What's that? Is that Factorio? Is that Factorio? Up. Up. Oh. Ah. Come get a peanut. Good catch. Hi. People are filtering in, Mika. They're filtering. What, you want a peanut? Can you say please? Say please. Good girl. Ooh.
That I'm going to pick up people that are way on the other side of me, and every now and then we will have an ethnic cleansing of those people. And I will tweet unhinged stuff. I will drop some N-bombs. I bet this chat is like probably 50% of you pull them. I bet they're 50% socialists. I'm probably called Live and Learn. The socialists are literally a cancer in your party.
I'm just not telling you who I voted for. I am not going to influence your opinion in any direction.
This is insane.
You started this fight with us. Can you address that part, Hutch? Because I think, listen, I'm not a foreign policy guy, but from what little I've heard, that was, I think, a pretty good point, this idea that it doesn't necessitate the death of Israeli citizens. If the Israeli government is capable of funding the Iron Dome on itself, Israel just can't have its cake and eat it too. They can't simultaneously commit an offensive war with it.
Just so you guys know, I don't know why nobody understands this, okay? The Iron Dome is there to protect Arabs, okay? If you don't know anything about what's going on, just
like that's the other thing. It's like, holy shit. One of the huge reasons the Iron Dome is there is that if Israeli citizens, besides the Arabs who live in Israel, I don't think he's talking about the Arabs who live in Israel, but yeah, it protects the Arabs who live in Israel too. But if Israeli citizens are getting fucking blown up by rockets on like a nearly daily basis, you think they're just gonna sit back and not bomb the shit out of everyone surrounding them even more intensely than they are now? Like, how does nobody see this? Well, I know how nobody sees this, but why is nobody talking about this among those groups? I guess they don't care. Because Israel's the big bad boogeyman. Well, no, they don't care. We know they don't care. They don't care if Palestinians die. They don't give a shit. Because it's more important to see Israel fall apart than actually, like, protect the lives of Palestinians or Arabs in the region. Because that's what they really care about. It's them dirty Jews.
And the Iron Dome exists to protect Arabs. Israel didn't win the war in 48 with the Iron Dome. They didn't win the war in 67 or in 73 because of the Iron Dome, all right? If you want to get rid of the Iron Dome, then fine, go for it. But then the next barrage of rockets is going to be the real genocide, all right? The next time, 100, 1,000 rockets come in and blow up, a quarter of Tel Aviv, the only reason you guys even have a leg to stand on is because that Iron Dome exists. Do you really think that Israel is going to tolerate getting randomly bombed constantly by its neighbors, number one, and then two, not retaliate with the hand of God, now knowing that they have nothing to keep themselves from being randomly killed by...
Yep.
People don't even know what they're advocating for. It's so stupid.
Exactly.
Impunity and rely on the United States largesse. They can protect themselves. It doesn't necessitate Israeli deaths. It would also prevent them from being in a position to inflict such casualties on Palestinians. Do you accept that?
It's the exact opposite. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's Jewish people or white people or what makes people so brain broken on this. Like, oh, okay, well, your neighbor that's launching 5,000 million rockets at you constantly. Well, now we can't protect ourselves from them. What should we do? Let's go to them and negotiate in peace. The ones that are calling for global jihad against you? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
or fucking nothing. Let's just sit there and wait to get destroyed. Like, what? Every fucking position these people have is so incredibly short-sighted. It's unbelievable.
With the raped, body broken girl in the truck, those people, right? Yeah, okay, cool. All right, yeah, let's go and have happy, peaceful negotiations with them, and we're going to figure out all our problems. It's going to be wonderful.
Yes, that's an understandable argument. I understand what you're saying here. If we can dive into the practical consideration here.
Okay.
No.
Wait. Can you grant that at least? I mean, wait. So you're gonna say grant? Okay. So you're grant. Okay. Cool.
I understand that argument. Maybe I didn't hear what he was saying exactly because I was in my own head or whatever. But yes, that makes sense. But just now, can we dive into the practical?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
For someone like AOC, right? You guys want to see her succeed. Like,
I get what you mean when saying that without the Iron Dome, Israel's retaliation would be much harsher. But that doesn't mean the purpose of it is to protect Palestinians. It is still there to protect Israel. This guy said it's so good.
Obviously, the purpose is to protect Israelis. Obviously, that's why it exists, is to protect Israelis. But to ignore the fact that because of it, there's less, like, motivation for Israel to bomb out, like, way more groups of people in way higher numbers is fucking stupid. Yeah, obviously they build it to protect Israelis, right? But it's an incidental factor that because it protects Israelis, it prevents Israel from going and doing way worse in like a way wider range.
I'm not gonna be able to find it. It was a Twitter video of Zizek talking about how when the West, it has to do with, like, what was it? I don't remember if this was about the Middle East, but when the West criticizes itself and tries to hold itself accountable, it is doing it with a language that is exclusively, it was invented by the West and it's exclusively understood by the West. And nobody else on the planet uses these same types of, like, bizarro fucking analyses or standards by which it analyzes itself. I wish I could remember what this tweet was. Oh my God, it's here.
Varoufakis, who likes to repeat, Europa is kaput. No. I think that the first symptom is that what unites all around the world, left and right, they all hate united Europe. For example, Latino Americans claim Eurocentrism the worst. In Africa, you did the slavery, blah, blah, first. Here I learned from intelligent right-wingers. It's not true. You know that the Muslims got more slaves from Eastern Africa than Americans, Latin Americans from the West. So then Putin against Europe, everybody, China and so on. Why is this happening when everybody is telling us Europe is over, but at the same time Eurocentrism is presented as the ultimate enemy? No, I think today history took care of, under quotation marks, bad aspects of Eurocentrism. But what remains is here, are we aware, one argument, that even those who criticize European legacy, they do it strictly in the terms which were articulated by the European legacy.
Like, people use Eurocentrism to criticize Euro or Western centrism. I bring this back to say that about the Iron Dome, and it's funny because I feel like this is an edgy thing to say, but it's not actually edgy, it's just so true. Israel is a victim, in a large extent, of their Eurocentrism. This is gonna sound incredibly edgy if you're retarded, but if you know the slightest bit of history in the region, it is so obvious that because Israel came in as a Western-style democracy and they try to hold them.
How you doing? I need you to say hello. I need you to say hello to Grace. Say hi. Say hi. Say hi. Good catch. Yeah, good. That's good. Oh boy. I told Ryan he had to watch it because it was fucking crazy. Do you see my new friend, by the way? It's from, it's the robot from Fantastic Four. Yeah, he does, check us out, he does a couple cool things, so, I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it's going to be kind of hard to see on camera. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Can you see it if I do this? Let's see. It's kind of hard to see. It does like a little Fantastic Four symbol. And if you push this button... So I saw it last night. It was pretty great. I really enjoyed it. And I got this. And it was $75. You guys are the only ones who do the pickle thing. Nobody else does the pickle thing. What up, Cosmic? How you doing? It's like Fetch. You keep trying to make the pickle happen. It's not going to happen.
So I was accountable and all this bullshit.
Oh, Cosmic. Have you watched this one already? Let's see. This? Oh, no, I guess not. It only came out 14 minutes ago. But before you came in, I was spurging out about how people don't understand that because I said it right before Tiny said it, by the way. I said that, I know, yeah. I said, one of the things about the Iron Dome that I feel like a lot of these lefties don't understand is that one of the things that it does is it prevents from Israel having the motivation to go like even harder and even fucking stronger. Because if their civilians were getting fucking blown up every other day, they would be reacting super hard all the fucking time. I don't think anybody nobody on the like far left considers that, I think. But they don't consider anything past the tip of their nose, so, you know, what do you want? And him and Gretchen Wieners. Taliban already clipped it. I was just saying before he said it in this video. I said it before he said it in this video. I'm sure he probably said it before me at some point. He has been doing this for a while. I don't know if you're aware. The Iron Dome is for the Arabs. Yeah, this is the point. This was the point, yeah. But, like, as he said it's for the Arabs, like, as soon as he said that, I paused it, and I said, yeah, that's what this whole video is about, is him responding to the live and learn. So I've been watching. Have you been watching this Hutch live and learn thing? Look, I know how you feel about Hutch, but can you at least give it to him that he's been pushing back really well against the live and learn guys, and he's been standing his ground? Like, give him some credit. I think he's starting to get a little bit, you know, more hardcore about it. You really just don't like Hutch. I'm watching him stand up to these guys over and over again. Credit where credit is due. Come on. Jim's the camera? What do you mean by Jim's the camera? Oh, he Jims the camera? I do that sometimes. But I definitely get fucking worked up. I do get fucking worked up sometimes, for sure. No, I know, yeah, I know. He does Jim the camera, yeah. Oh, it's from Community. I can't play this, but I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Steam building in a debate? What? Are you talking about me or him or just in general? I get worked up in debate sometimes. I get worked up in debate when someone's being particularly frustrating. You've seen that happen. I know you've seen that happen. Like on the Iran stuff? Oh my god. Oh my god, people were brain broken on the Iran stuff. you've ever debated Pisco, he similarly builds steam through a conversation. Yeah, it's good entertainment, by the way. That's what you want to do, right? You want to build to a crescendo.
They have the problems today that they do as a result of their not being able to reconcile those values with the region. If Israel was like Turkey, they would have murdered every single Palestinian. We would be talking about the Palestinians today, like the Turks did with the Armenians and however many other ethnic groups, like they do today with the fucking Kurds, like they did when they expelled.
Well, I don't think any of us. Well, I'm sure some people do it, like on purpose, but if you want it to be natural, right?
All the fucking Greeks. Like, it wouldn't even be a conversation. Turkey had no problem marching 1 million motherfuckers off into the Syrian deserts to die because they were like, oh, this is a place for our ethnic group and nobody else. Bye. It wouldn't even be a thought in your head. And nobody talks about, okay, there's only 20 countries even recognize the Armenian genocide as a real thing today. Like, nobody even gives a... So you have one, that issue of like, Israelis are like, oh, well, we're better than those people. We're Western and we're democratic and we're going to not just slaughter and murder everybody, is the first issue. And then the second issue is Israel saying like, oh, well, we're going to engage in self-critique, right? Who are you quoting and who are you citing all the time when you're talking about the horrible things that Israel does, right? You're talking about Haaretz, right? This is an Israeli news source. You're talking about
Yeah,
Bezalel.
they always quote Haaretz. They always quote Haaretz. And I'm like, you don't even realize how you're like going against your own narrative when you fucking quote Haaretz. Because you call Israel like this authoritarian fascist regime. And then you quote Haaretz! It's fucking stupid.
Was an organization created in Israel by Israeli Jews to monitor the Palestinian crisis, right? And then what part of the UN is keeping track of the Palestinians?
And like, I don't know about right now, but I do know at least in the past, because I've heard from people who worked there, that there were times, and I have no idea if that's the case now, I just haven't even checked. It could be, it might not be, I don't know. But at least at certain points, there were more Arabs working at Haaretz than there were Jews.
Literally a branch in the UN that was created just to monitor the Palestinians. If you want to, so when people are like, well, look at all this horrible stuff from Israeli history, how do you even know that? You know that because Israel has opened their archives and made it available for you to go through and read it to actually criticize them. When you're criticizing like Egyptian history, it's not because they've opened their historical archives for you to go through. When was the last time Bashar al-Assad invited historians in to audit the administration? When was the last time the Jordanian monarchy invited people in to go through past documents and cables between diplomatic figures? When was the last time Saddam Hussein or any leader of Iraq or the Ayatollah in Iran? Like, it's such an insane world. I don't care. At the end of the day, we can all hate Jews together. That's what I'm trying to say, okay?
Like, she is the biggest champion right now. She's the biggest champion by far for democratic socialism or progressive policies.
100%.
Bernie's very clearly handing her the mantle. She very clearly, I think, is not going to be content to stay in the House. I don't think she wants to be House Speaker. I think she wants to be a senator, or governor, or president. I think like
we'll see, yeah.
I think that's my sense of things, right?
Wait, is that true? Okay, so I don't know, I guess as much about like politics and stuff for Congress. Wouldn't Speaker of the House be a more prestigious role than Senator? That would be my assumption, right? Way more people know Pelosi and Mike Johnson than any random fuck senator, no? Although maybe some senator positions are more prestigious. Hillary Clinton was senator from New York, right?
Yep.
As such, you should be actively rooting for her to do these kinds of votes, because
These like ruthless kind of votes.
This type of thing is the type of thing that will come back to like.
Oh, he just means a random speaker in Congress, not a speaker in the House. Okay.
Bite her in the ass. You know, 4 years from now, she's going to be on a debate stage, or 3 years from now, she's going to be on a debate stage.
Wait, the way she voted, or she voted a different way? Can you clarify?
If she voted to strip funding for the Iron Dome,
Gotcha.
there's going to be a moderator or whatever during the primary debates, and they're going to ask her, why did you vote to strip a defensive missile system? And even if your argument here is persuasive, to normie voters, they're just going to hear, wait, what? You wanted to get rid of their defensive missile systems? And this is going to be something like that is baggage. And there was no upside to her doing that vote. Why does she need to shore up her support from a lefty online voter base? Why does she still need their
I'm not
support?
super offended by this vote. I think people are so mad about it.
She voted against the bill. She voted
Because it was dead on arrival, right? Like,
bill.
how many votes did it get?
The amendment only got six. Her amendment only got 6 votes, bro. It was like 400 plus people voted against it.
No, but
Wait, really? That's what these people are so fucking mad about?
Leftists
Not these
are
guys
so
here, but the
fucking
people online.
crazy. Jesus
I would like
Christ.
critique, and I would be scathing to anyone who like.
Oh my God. Cosmic. How are we supposed to work with these people? They're losing their minds. They're going after AOC for an amendment that got 6 votes. And it was a Marjorie Taylor Greene amendment, too. Good Lord. Fuck me sideways. Tell me, Cosmic, how do we work with those people? Do you know? I don't fucking know. She's at the point now where she's like, I'm not going to do that, bro. I'm not getting into that world. She's probably going to stop jumping into replies now that she's like trying to go for a presidential run. You know what I mean? She's going to get big for her britches.
AOC did vote in favor of this provision, I wouldn't have a problem with it either. And if she voted against it, I don't really have a problem with that. For me, it's not a humongous deal. It's not like the other kind of signaling votes that do matter to me, for example, that indicate weakness, right? On the one hand,
but you understand how people are going to weaponize a vote like that in the future, and it's just going to cost.
I'm not super offended by it. I think the people who are so mad about it would vote for her, or would probably accept. And I think that she would get huge support from the far left community, from the pro-Palestinian community. And just to be clear about where I stand on something, you know, I go after Ogre Boy because individually, I think a lot of there are some, you know, pro-Palestinian commentators who do have to answer for their votes with respect to not voting for Kamala or voting for Trump in some cases. But in general, like, the left voted for Kamala, and so I'm so done with this narrative. It's just really just not true that like we're in favor of having that like fall out. The left, by and large, is voting for the Democratic candidate. It's not a huge deal, and I think people get over it. And I think that I have to make a little self-critique or critique at you, Hutch, a little bit. I think that the amount of time that you spend on lefties is a little inordinate given the risk of the post from an electoral perspective.
They are all viciously attacking the best chance for
clarifying post or something at some point. It wasn't like, I mean, it wasn't like very, you know. I think they might even look at it, if I recall, in this.
Democratic socialism in the Congress right now.
Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot, Netanyahu. I'll talk to you later. Sorry, I was just finishing up a call with my good close friend. Anyway, I hate that the lefties get to occupy this position of simultaneously being like the sole, not the sole, but a huge disseminator of information on media, but also politically irrelevant, because it lets them occupy this like dual position of like, why are you criticizing us so much, guys? Like, we don't kind of vote. It doesn't matter. And then also, by the way, we're about to set the narrative for the entire alternative media left online.
So
Good luck. In a way, like I've even played into this when I argue with conservatives. I'm like, hey, listen, like these people don't vote.
They don't vote. They think that they don't want electoral power. Like, they're constantly saying, we don't care about electoral power. They don't vote. They don't care about electoral power. And then they just sit there criticizing everybody all the fucking time. They're the worst. They're not worth building a coalition with. Like fucking Hutch. Did you watch at least Hutch's conversation with Ogre Boy? He told Ogre Boy basically to fuck off. I don't want to make a coalition with people like you. Like, fuck them. Fuck those people, dog. We don't need them. Fuck them.
Not relevant, okay? Can we stop talking about them? Although that's when addressing conservatives who are worried about policy, we should be talking right now when we're talking to ourselves on the left about like, what does our message look like? I don't know if I fully agree with Pisco here, though. Wasn't it the case that there were places like for Michigan, did the Dearborn voters actually kind of lean away, like from where we would expect them? How did Dearborn vote? Dearborn vote? Is there like a clean and easy way to see a Trump won? No, that's not true. Hold on. That can't possibly be the case, right? Jill Stein got 18% of the vote? 18% of the vote? Trump won with 42.48%, and Kamala got 36.26% in a 55% Middle Eastern district? Holy shit. I guess it's in line with it. Nobody kills Arabs more than Arabs do. Jesus.
What do you mean?
How did they vote in 2020? Dearborn, Michigan, vote 2020. Results. Biden won 68.8 to 29.7. Ah! Oh, damn. Specifically in the south area of Dearborn, an area with a high concentration of Arab American voters, Biden secured even larger.
Wait, what? And what did Kamala get? No. I bet they're fucking regretting that vote now. While Palestinians are fucking starving to death.
You're winning 88% of the vote. Anyway, okay, sorry. This fucking Gaza issue has been a brain rot fucking issue. But also, base. You know what? Arabs deserve it, okay? If you guys can mind fuck our media. Fucking Qataris are sitting here shilling money to every fucking Ivy League college in America, being like, tell them the Jews did it, okay? You know what? Fucking hey, dude.
Well, perspective.
They are all viciously attacking the best chance for democratic socialism in the Congress
Dude,
right now.
I'm so glad we have Destiny here to say the unhinged shit that people like me just can't say. Like, I can't say shit like that. That's not the brand that I'm going for.
Pull up a tweet over it. What do you mean get over it? I fucking hate this logic.
Hassan will do a stream.
Hassan, the largest left-wing streamer on the internet, just so you know. Go ahead.
Progressive media have no power.
Well,
really?
I think what he's saying, and I'm curious about this, and maybe we should ask Lakshya about this when we talk to him next Monday, is I think Pisco's argument is, though they will bitch online about that it doesn't manifest meaningfully in voter turnout.
You know what? You know what they need to do? They need to have five lib and learns. They need to start bringing IRI on the show. Gee, because holy Christ.
by and large, lefties, progressives will still vote for the moderate Democratic candidate if a
I completely
Republican's the
reject this.
alternative.
I completely reject this notion. That
Oh my God, is he gonna have the numbers?
a collective of audiences that number in the millions.
It
Also,
is.
yeah, you have to understand.
It is dangerous.
For the same side, no, I'm not saying that any of these three guys did this, okay? Although I did this, and I still believe this. For the same side that says, oh my God, you know, negative influence online can lead to horrible beliefs in real life. Like even hanging out in certain humor environments can lead you to adopt really dangerous and harmful beliefs. For that side to be like, well, the entire left-wing media apparatus is pushing this absolute and utter nonsense that is self-destructive to the party, but that shouldn't manifest in any material way in the real world, LOL. That can't be, you can't have both of those positions.
That traffic in this kind of idiotic, myopic, juvenile, like baseless oftentimes rhetoric. You don't think that's doing damage electorally, especially when these elections are this close?
No, it's
you guys
not.
are high, man.
I don't.
It's not,
You're high.
It's not,
You're all...
it's not. No, no. But it's not that I don't think there's some margin of people that would be convinced by this. But we have to consider a few things. All right. So number one, a lot of these people have overlapping audiences, right? Number two.
Wait. A lot of these people have overlapping audiences, so it's all an illusion, actually. They're not that large online. They're not as big as they seem.
A lot of the audience of these people aren't necessarily like anti-electoralist or like Green Party.
Hold on, I'm sorry. I don't know if this chatter missed this point earlier. Is bringing up says, Destiny, everything about Israel Palestine being interesting to be said about Turkey / Greece in Cyprus. Yeah, nobody. I'm sorry. You're saying in Cyprus particularly. The Greeks are a fallen empire. No one cares. Turks are seen as brown in the West, even though they're not really. But they're all basically Arabs to us. Even the Persians, even the Turks. Everybody's like Arab to us. So as long as they're doing the oppressing, nobody actually gives a fuck. Nobody cares. Sorry, bro. That's the way that it goes.
Well, a lot of the audience of these people aren't necessarily like anti-electoralist or like Green Party voting socialists. You know, a lot of the people that watch these people are also
So
they're also Democratic Party voters who just take a more
when he
skeptical
was
view of things.
tweeting last
And
year,
so when we look at, I think to Pisco's point, this is what resonates with me. Like when we look at like
Or
polling
now,
data, voting
they're losing their
behavior,
minds
you know,
now,
we can
too.
even look at the anecdotes of just like what happens when AOC gives a public appearance or gives a public speech, right? You do find that there are some people, and by the way, this was a vote that she took a year ago. It was substantially the same vote where she voted to continue funding the Iron Dome. And
it literally was.
Look at what happened in that last year. Like, yeah, there have been a few people that have shown up to a few of her events and yelled at her. They threw paint on her, like her office, I guess, the other day. But look, she's going to coast to re-election in 2020.
I also think there's something to be said, okay, and you should know this better than anybody, because this type of rhetoric, I think you have to be careful. Remember. We're trying to get ahead where the puck is going to be, okay, and not where the puck was. All right. Greece was never an empire. I'm just stop. I'm trolling. There's this weird thing that happens. Okay, you have like three different environments. Okay.
Different in 24.
On the right,
some
you have an
apply
environment
chains are
where
in the thousands.
everybody is fucking 9-year-olds. Okay. We'll call this pedo paradise. All right. And then on the left, you have an environment where when somebody's like, shouldn't we be able to fuck 9-year-olds? Everybody's like, what? We'll call this pedo hell. Okay. And there's this weird middle world that we are occupying right now in regards to, I would say easily anti-Semitism, but a lot of other stuff as well, where somebody can float an idea and be like, well, would fucking 9-year-olds really be that bad? And not everybody
Elon.
has an instant revulsion to it, but then when the people that do have a big revulsion to it do, like, wait, hold on, we probably should never be fucking 9-year-olds. Everybody else is like, bro, this is like not that many people like talking about this. It's not really that big of a deal. It's probably, I don't think that we're all gonna be like pro 9-year-old fucking, right? Where the problem isn't that there are only a few people saying it. The problem is there's an eerie amount of tolerance to that type of rhetoric being as pervasive as it is. So I think the right has had an issue with this when it comes to like neo-Nazi shit for a while, right? Where, like I said this multiple times, even after the Jubilee thing, I don't think those people on that Jubilee show, I think, are a fraction of the MAGA movement. Like some of those views as high as 30%, some of them as low as 2%. The problem isn't that it's low, or I wouldn't say that like, oh, there's not many, it's not a big deal. The issue is that the rhetoric is pervasive enough and not instantly pushed back on. There's not an instant revulsion to it. That is a huge issue. And so like even this thought here, like, well, there's only a few people that are rabidly screaming about AOC sometimes when she goes to do her media rallies. So it's not a big idea, or it's not a huge problem. So this isn't a big idea that's like pervasive among the entire left. It's like that's an uncomfortable amount of receptivity, or at the very least, it's an uncomfortable amount of like indifference or nihilism, or not nihilism, it's just indifference or acceptance, I guess, or tolerance, I should say. That's what I'm like, tolerance of that idea.
That have shown up to a few of her events and yelled at her. They threw paint on her, like her office, I guess, the other day. But look, she's going to coast to re-election in 2026, more likely than not.
She'll be fine.
I don't understand you guys. You want to use kid gloves with these people. I really don't.
I'm not using kid gloves.
Yes, you do. You want
What are you talking about?
These are kid gloves. He's absolutely right. For some reason, it's just, I don't know, it's just insane to me. That this is just an insane clip to me. And it's not even this is why I get so mad on people chastising me over jokes about like dead girls in Texas, right? Like, do you think I want little girls to die in Texas? If you even have to think for a microsecond, you're an idiot. It's very obvious like what my actual position is. If you deal with the slightest amount of good faith, or even if you don't deal with good faith, you hate me. Like, it's pretty obvious like what I'm saying, Like, you guys clearly don't give a of this. I am going to sit here and laugh at it because you guys clearly don't care because you're not taking any effective steps to remedy these things, right? But that will get called out for, because it's a mean joke or whatever. I understand too, because, I don't have the, I don't represent an intersection of political power that has enough movement behind it to make fun of dead children, right? I get that. Fine, that's fine. But the problem here is that like you have people, Hassan, who will say like vile jokes about people, but they're not just jokes. There's underlying, all of it has a ton of like element of truth to it in terms of what he's saying. But he's not even dog whistling positions. He openly supports terrorist groups that are dedicated to the annihilation of Israel, the Jewish people, and he openly like supports the leaders that are there, right? He talked about Nasrallah or whatever when he was talking to Nick. He was like, yeah, you know, the U.S. doesn't like him, but remember Mandela? They didn't like him either, you know? Like he's brought on like that little Houthi dude who he only brought on because that guy was posting stories about him being a pro-terrorist Houthi warrior who was laughing and joking about hostages that were captured. Like it's just this insane, and then right denying any of the rapes that happened. All of that was fake, even though the UN said it. Sometimes he likes the UN, sometimes he doesn't. I guess no, not because of any underlying analysis, just because of what they say. Was it Vosh? Vosh was the one who said that he would be okay with the complete and utter annihilation of Israel as a state. But it's like,
yeah,
so
I remember that. That was fucking insane.
I hate this too, because sometimes people will tweet at me or they'll type things. You're gonna mic me like, oh, so now you're mad because he's joking? I thought edgy jokes were okay. I have no problem with edgy jokes. I wouldn't give a I make edgy jokes. I make edgy jokes about Jews sometimes. Okay, there's lots of edgy jokes you can make. All right. The problem is these people aren't joking. Do you understand that? It's not even like the criticism. Like I think that Hassan's humor is like really problematic because it could lead people to bad beliefs. Hassan is a terrorist supporter, right? Like people like Hassan, there are strong arguments for. In the United States, I don't agree with it because I like our strong freedom of speech protections. But in other countries, I can see people like him being arrested. Like unironically, if Hassan said the same thing about these terrorist organizations, if you were a German citizen and said the same thing about like neo-Nazis, you might actually get arrested or fined in places like Germany. It is just unhinged that you can be that avowedly pro-terrorist. And it's not even like he's supporting, you know, like I support like a moderate movement, like I support like the Palestinian Authority. If I had to guess, I haven't seen him talk about it. He probably hates the Palestinian Authority because they're seen as too moderate. Like this collection of things, this collection of things is just too much. It's insane. And remember, we freaked the fuck out collectively over people like Nick Fuentes like 8 years ago when he was like, and Stefan Molyneux, when these people were just like itty bitty YouTubers. We were losing our minds about stochastic terrorism and all that. This is the largest left-wing streamer on the internet who regularly gets puff pieces made in journalistic outlets about him, mainstream ones, who regularly, you know, does interviews with major Democratic candidates. And then people are like, oh, come on, you're really going to shit on Hassan? You're really going to go after Hassan? He's not a streamer, bro. Like this, there's an imbalance here. And it's not, it's, you know, applied to Hassan is like that post yesterday on my subreddit or 2 days ago where they were like, the issue I think that people are having is they actually don't think that Trump is that bad. And I think it's the same thing here where people they just don't think that this is that bad. And our whole, I guess, political system has gotten so fucking insane lately. You can't see anything for how fucked it actually is. And this is a guy, like, keep in mind, like, Hassan is, like, openly on shows. This is the crazy thing, too. Or maybe it was always like this in politics. I don't know. I feel like when you read about weird political shit in the past, like, people are kind of, like, dodgy, or not dodgy. People are, like, they're not forthcoming about their political beliefs, right? Like, there are no really strong records of Hitler ordering the Holocaust. You have to kind of dig for the implications for this, for the cable of him talking about liquidating a train full of Jews, and then kind of figure it out based on the rest of the admin. If Donald Trump was Hitler today, he would be talking openly about the Holocaust on Fox News, right? We would be getting Twitter videos of it. Half of them probably AI deepfaked of people going into mass extermination showers, right? Like, it would be so much more open because people don't have to lie about it. Like Hassan was like, literally on a show on YouTube publicly talking about like, yeah, I lie. I go on like as a lib to try to present myself as a moderate so that I can indoctrinate more people into Marxist Leninism. It's just, I don't know. That's just wild to me.
Really don't. Yes, you do. You want her to
talking about?
You want her to be successful, and you're hand waving literally all of them.
No, I'm not.
This
I don't agree. We don't agree with them.
You are.
We don't agree with them.
Well, it's not that big of a deal. When the entire lefty media,
like, imagine that statement, right? Just you can feel it in the statements, right? Imagine somebody was bringing up like, why did AOC have a sit down with Nick Fuentes and talk for an hour and a half about how AOC is going to not have any children because she doesn't want to outbreed the white race, right? Imagine the response for these two guys. They're like, well, hold on. We don't agree with Nick Fuentes.
Who's chat? What are you talking about? Hassan? I can't see what it says. I can't see that. That's too blurry. Oh, scroll down. Oh. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, they put that in the fucking article. Holy shit. Oh my God. You implying? No? I have to refresh? Jesus.
Statement, right? Just you can feel it in the statements, right? Imagine somebody was bringing up like, why did AOC have a sit down with Nick Fuentes and talk for an hour and a half about how AOC is going to not have any children because she doesn't want to outbreed the white race, right? Imagine the response for these two guys. They're like, well, hold on. We don't agree with Nick Fuentes. We don't agree with him, dude. We don't agree with Fuentes, you know? That would not be the strength of that statement. The magnitude would be much greater, right? That's the issue. I don't know how people, well, I know how people don't see it because it's hard to see because you get so boiling frog in a pot of water that's slowly heating up, I guess.
You are. You're saying it's not, well, it's not that big of a deal. When the entire
Hutch is picking up on this, right? Yeah.
lefty media ecosystem are throwing her under the bus right now. All of them.
We don't think it will manifest in any kind of electoral result.
Like, this is the equivalent. That thing, like, I don't think it'll manifest in any electoral, in any type of electoral thing. That's the equivalent to, Emma on this panel said something along the lines of like, oh, like, I'm just a YouTuber, so I don't even think I have that much influence or whatever. It was so crazy.
Insular, because that's how we lose and they win.
Yeah, I guess I'm struck by, like, I feel as if we really just don't matter that much. Like, as YouTube personalities or Twitch personalities, I think it's just, we have to be vessels to get people politically organized. And at least how I feel is the guests that I have on my show. When we
what is the point of anything we're doing if we don't think we matter at all?
Have on somebody who is works in I don't know, like Pastor Taylor, for example, we have on regularly with the Debt Collective. She is actively making change, working with the Biden administration to try to get student debt canceled. And that original cancellation that he did, that eventually the Supreme Court got overturned, that's a direct result of what they did, what the Debt Collective and Pastor Taylor did. That's, I guess, what I view my role as, is using the fact that some people.
I'm not convinced that it will have a material effect on her election chances with respect to like any kind.
Like with her election chances. Thank you. Yes, AOC is in a plus 250 point Dem district. We understand that. But the idea that all of the left wing media coming together to shit on somebody online is irrelevant. Like, again, think of the standards that the right wing sets. Right? Has there ever been a time where look at the right wing on the Epstein stuff? I feel like it's been simultaneously horrifying and fascinating to watch themselves try to stay together on all of it, right? Where some people are trying to break, but people are chastising them and they're bringing them back in line. And you've got the lawmakers and you've got Mike Johnson that are on TV saying it's not that big of a deal. You've got Trump saying it's not that big of a deal. You've got the cabinet members trying to push on it saying it's not really that big of a deal. And some people are kind of breaking, and when they do, they're getting eviscerated by the party. They try so hard to keep it all together. And then on the left, we're like, who the fuck cares what anybody in our party fucking thinks? It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. LOL. It's just the entire online media apparatus. It shouldn't manifest in any negative way. Like, why don't we take a little bit of a pointer from the side that it has all the levers of power right now politically? Like, maybe they're doing a couple things right. It certainly isn't fucking policy, right? So maybe there's something to be gleaned there, some kind of insight to be gleaned there, maybe?
Kind of ambitious with the president and anything related to the Senate. By your own metric, right? By your own metric.
Anything related to the Senate. So none of the online media space matters? By your own metric. What are we about to say here?
Kind of ambitious with the president and anything related to the Senate. By your own metric, right? By your own metric. She is going to do well, better because of this vote. Like, you are the one who's billing this as a strategic move.
She's going to do well, like maybe with moderates or maybe in like future positions. And it's not even so much that she's going to do well with this move. It's that the people that are pressuring right now for a vote are asking her for a vote that would just be completely fucking horrible. It's not even that she's going to do well. This is like you have to do at least this to survive politically in the future.
These people, you get that?
Yeah. It's by them.
Well, I don't think that Econoboy and Pisco are saying that the left bitching about AOC online is helping.
I think it's.
I don't think that they're saying that it's helping her. I think that they're saying that she will succeed in spite of them.
They're saying it's not that big of a deal, but Econoboy, you are changing your tune, my.
Have these guys? I'm curious if these guys feel like the right is falling apart over Epstein. Because in polling, that hasn't manifested at all.
Because shortly after the election, you were making the case that polls were showing that a decent amount of people that sat out who otherwise would have voted Democrat, Gaza was a big deal to them.
Yeah,
That's shortly after the election.
Yeah,
you don't think the social media ecosystem had any part in that? Like nothing? Or little part?
Well, no. First of all, the mainstream media covered this as a huge issue as well. I mean, there were major swaths of the Democratic Party that made that a priority. But we have to keep in mind, like, when people...
Major swaths of the Democratic Party that made it a priority? Excuse me, a priority to just screech and scream that Israel should be destroyed, that it's a genocidal apartheid state, and that Netanyahu and the entire cabinet should be arrested, and that the entire country should cease to exist in the way that it does. What are you talking about? What?
Aggregately say that they have more sympathy in the Democratic Party for Palestinians than for the Israeli government at this point.
Saying you have more sympathy for the Palestinians, that's a meaningless statement. I don't have very much sympathy for Israelis. It's a first world, massively successful country that's built up a huge economy and a successful society on a fucking mound of trash, on a dirt pile. I feel more sympathy for the Palestinians than the fucking Israelis. That doesn't mean anything. That's a totally different question.
Then that's a spectrum view of people. That, like, not everyone is as extreme as, I don't know, like Hassan or Mike from PA on this issue. And,
not everybody is extreme. Why? They should say, can you give me like one or two examples of mainstream left-wing figures that haven't outright called it a genocide? Because it's funny too, because that's where the conversation starts for lefties. A genocide. That's the start. Yep. That's the start.
Get to like have that.
It's calling it a genocide, and then you can go from there. But keep in mind, like, where are you at? The whole point of using the word genocide, I've said this many times, is not to have an actual factual analysis of what's going on. It's to bring in all the moral weight and condemnation of that word. Okay, well, if it is a genocide, well, then what's the next step? What do we do with genocidal states? Right? What do we do with Japan? What do we do with Nazi Germany? What do you do with people that do genocides? Make peace with and negotiate with them so that they can happily carry on with their lives? Right?
But when you actually like talk to a lot of pro-Palestinian organizers, when it comes to their view about AOC, it's just not quite as extreme as your average like lefty Twitter account where.
Who are the ones leading this? What?
A lot of them will say, yeah, it's a really disappointing vote, but look, I mean, AOC is right on even on this issue, like 95%. People have a sensibility about these things. And then when it comes to, like, that's only amongst people that really, really, really prioritize this issue. I mean, I would ask you to make a prediction, Hutch. Do you think AOC is not going to get reelected to a congressional seat?
Like, that's the standard? Is that really the standard? AOC is in a what did she win her? So as long as AOC is still getting elected, then no harm, no foul? This district is plus 64. This is a plus 64 district. No, wait, that's a Democratic primary. I'm sorry. My bad. Plus 43. This is a plus 40 blue district. Yeah, she's not going to lose her general election. What is the point?
Obviously.
2024, I should say. That can't possibly be the standard. That can't possibly be the standard.
Do you think she's going to get primary? Do you think that she's going to have
like
wall-to-wall protests at every single event she goes to? Do you think that she's going to, all of a sudden fall the fuck off in the poll?
To fucking primary Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. These are the same fucking people. These people don't understand anything. Tiny. They don't understand how any of this works. They think that they could primary these people, and that's a good idea. In fucking West Virginia! Good lord.
Of these presidential 2028 hypotheticals,
like if this is the case, I don't ever want to hear these guys talk about Nick Fuentes. I don't ever want to hear them talk about Kanye West. I don't ever want to hear them because these guys are not commanding that much media attention or presence. If that's what we're saying, that the I guess the standard is, are you like getting sole candidates like kicked out of, ejected out of their seat or something? Like what?
Like
I think in 2028, if she hypothetically were to make a primary run for the president, they're going to make her job harder.
Yes,
they're going to hurt her in this.
I think they're going to support her.
Okay.
But if they don't,
I will never understand.
Right. If they don't, so 3 years from now, we'll worry about it then, right? Remember, where is the puck going? Not where is the puck now, or where was the puck 2 years ago?
I'll never understand. You guys support her. You want her to be successful. You see.
But we have to criticize our own side. We have to be able to criticize our own side.
Creators with massive audiences.
Say it.
This is not small.
I condemn Hassan condemning AOC for this.
You see all of them in unison, throwing her under the bus right now, and your reaction is to not like.
Wait a second. Wait. So two separate things. Wait. Two separate things. There's one issue, and I want to see if you agree with me right now. One issue is, do we agree with that criticism, and do we condemn that criticism?
This is a 400 comment post. Damn. This isn't even that active of a subreddit. AOC is a fraud. This seals it. What is she talking about? Cutting any percentage of aid is more pressure towards Israel to stop, no matter what the aid looks like. And even if you want to argue the scope of just direct defensive or defensive aid, cutting aid would lower Israel's safety to commit war crimes belligerently. Her DNC handlers told her there's lines that she can't cross. Quote, we're going to keep giving billions to Israel, but we're going to attach a post-it note saying, please excuse for Iron Dome, end quote. AOC, Palestine supporter.
The argument these people were making was not, oh, they can just rearrange all of their shit. What up, yeah? The argument these lefties were making was not, oh, well, they could just rearrange their shit from the aid that they're getting. Their argument was, no, we need to lower the amount of money they spend on aid, because if their citizens were threatened, they would actually experience the consequences of their actions when their civilians die and would be less likely to do it. So, like, the conversation you and I were having was like a totally different conversation, which I'm willing to have that conversation. I think there's something interesting to talk about there. But yeah, like this idea of like, no, we actually want to defund the Iron Dome so Israeli citizens are more likely to die, because we believe that will pressure Israel and the IDF. It's fucking crazy, dude. These people are fucking nuts.
Cutting off the Iron Dome would lead to peace. How fucking retarded. Oh my god.
I want to answer the affirmative. I condemn that criticism. I support my queen AOC. So that's one issue. Do we support that? And do we condemn the people who are making those opinions? I condemn the people who are condemning AOC on the basis of the vote. I agree.
Yeah, and not just Israelis, because if Israel doesn't have the Iron Dome, you think they're just going to chill? They're going to go... Exactly. They're going to go harder than they've ever gone. Bro, look at, like... And it's not as if they haven't had to deal without the Iron Dome before. The Iron Dome was what? 2011? They finished it in 2011. Yeah. All the way up until then, they didn't have the Iron Dome. Did your precious occupation end? Did your precious genocide end? Did your precious apartheid end? No! It didn't change a goddamn thing! The only thing that changed is less Israelis and less Arabs were fucking dying. Because Israel could just be like, okay, now we don't have to waste as many resources going after these motherfuckers when they attack us. Because we can just chill and let them, you know, like a little, you know, like a little toddler who's throwing a tantrum and trying to hit you. You just hold him by the fucking head, right? You just hold him by the fucking head and he's going, and you just hold him by the fucking head. And nothing happens.
With your strategic analysis, I don't really give.
Can you imagine, like, if shit had kept going, like, October 7th, right? If they were able to get through and launch all of these rockets all the fucking time? Like, can you imagine how crazy the region would be right now? Can you fucking imagine?
The fuck if she voted one or the other? I think it's small potato. I don't think it matters. That's one issue. The separate issue is, do you think it will be a big deal and materially affect anything over the course of AOC's political career? The answer to that is no. And you're telling me I'm unhinged because I have to take that nothing ever happens? I'm unhinged for thinking this shit won't matter?
Like, this shit on its own will probably not matter that much, but it's not just this shit. It's the fact that AOC backstabbed us on Palestine, and then she backstabbed us on a 15-hour minimum wage, and then she backstabbed us by working with billionaires, and then she backstabbed us.
No, that's it. That's the lefty thing. You either do everything. You can't. God forbid you're fucking strategic in how you approach things. God fucking forbid you're strategic.
By not getting rid of super PACs, and then it's not just this, although even just this on it as an issue, it was actually kind of a big one for a lot of people because it dominates and co-ops every single fucking leftist and progressive talking point. It has to become about fucking.
I don't know. It's not good. It's very bad. People are fucking starving. It's really awful. Israel feels they're justified in trying to starve out Hamas. But in doing so, yeah, people are dying. Hamas is instigating firefights in the area, knowing that civilians are going to get killed too. It's just a fucking mess. But the problem is, like, on the other hand, and I'm not saying this isn't a reason, because honestly at this point we should be letting the UN do the aid, because, like, you know, people are starving to death and enough is enough. It's not working. But, like, you know, the UN, like a bunch of fucking brainless retards, are just like, oh, we're gonna get your aid to Hamas. And Hamas can distribute it. Yay! The UN is so fucking stupid sometimes, man. What a dumb thing to do. What a dumb fucking thing to do. They obviously should be telling Hamas to fuck off and distributing the aid themselves. But you know why they probably don't? Because they know if they do, Hamas is going to attack their fucking aid distributors.
Gaza. Like, Palestine has become the transgender of foreign policy, to where every single conversation has to be solely about this issue.
And they'll forget about it in 2 weeks? That makes me unhinged.
Forget about it in 2 weeks? We talked about this for 2 years!
Right. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop attacking her. They're going to actively work against her. These people have massive audiences that
if Hutch was talking about a demonstrator or a couple protests, Hutch would be unhinged. Okay, it's like, okay, why are we focusing so much on this? Hutch is talking about collectively every single leftist fucking content creator, all of them. These are the largest figures in alternative media on the left.
If they actually mobilize their audiences in a constructive way, they could make an electoral difference at the local level, state level.
Now that I agree. Now that I agree.
If you agree with me, then you should think it's a big deal that all of them right now.
I think you're conflating two separate.
You're trying to say it's a pilot, as in they're testing it out before they do a wider distribution? Yeah, but Cosmic, in the meantime, people are actually dying of starvation. Like, at some point, you got to be like, all right, let's work in tandem. What do you... Can you be a little more detailed in what you're trying to say there, Cosmic? I'm not exactly sure what you're trying to say. Huh, you could try, yeah, but there's Jews involved, and we killed Jesus, okay? We ain't gonna let that happen. Yeah, exactly. That's why you gotta read. Oh, for fuck's sake. That's what happens. That's what I get for looking away. They claim each box for a week, so the 4 sites were originally not supposed to cater to a subset of the population. I'm still missing info here. Do you want to jump up real quick? No, I understand that. But if there's 2 million people in Gaza, that's just over 1 meal a day. And that's assuming it gets to everybody, which it's probably not, right? Hang on 1 second. I gotta take these fuckers out real quick. There we go. There we go. Delivery was supposed to be more reliable and reaching at-risk people. It's a tragedy. Yeah, it is. But we're also not getting any help from the UN. The UN is just taking it as another opportunity, right? To be like, because they have such a huge Arab voting bloc and there's so many Arabs in charge of so many points, they're just like, we're going to let Israel look bad. We're not going to help. And Hamas is threatening people who go and get help. And Hamas does not want to surrender because the entire international community is not even talking about them, really. Even though literally they could end all of this tomorrow if they even gave half a shit about the lives of Palestinians. Yes, but they could actually work with the GHF. They have refused to work with the GHF. That's why they're blocked. but they don't have enough manpower, or they don't have like knowledge of the terrain, or for whatever reason they're doing a small pilot program, right? Right, I know. That's why I'm saying. Oh, well, okay, you're right. Yep, it was Hamas. I was literally just saying that. You realize they're all just going to kill each other in that shirt, right?
For things. I totally agree with you, and I would be shocked if either Peace Corps or Convoy disagreed. This idea that if Hutch was more if Hassan, for example, was more overtly pro Kamala Harris or whatever, alongside all the other big creators, could that have made a meaningful difference? I think yes.
Maybe, yeah.
And certainly, it certainly would.
Maybe if the entire left-wing media didn't fucking shit on the candidate so fucking hard, maybe it could make a slight difference. Maybe.
Trump, and you're not pissed at these people?
Well, wait a minute, but that's
I am pissed at Donald Trump, and you're like, oh, well,
whoa. Huge conflation, Hutch. So one thing is, on this specific issue, years away from an election, you're saying my nonchalance at this specific vote and criticism of specific content creators at this specific vote, years away from a presidential election, you're saying my
It's not just that. Why are we pretending like this has only come up now? You know that people have confronted AOC like multiple times over the genocide, right? Confronts AOC Israel. I remember watching her. She was like in a stairwell or something walking. This has happened. This was a year ago. Like this is I've seen this happen to Bernie Sanders.
You refuse to call it a genocide. I need you to understand. It's not a genocide. I mean, you're not acting against it. You're lying. I'm lying.
Oh, the stairs is what I was thinking for.
Dude, leftists are so unhinged. It's all a virtue signal. It's all a fucking virtue signal. This guy probably went there like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get so many followers by going and like verbally assaulting AOC and saying she's a genocider, and everybody's gonna give me a big pat on the back, and the Palestinians are gonna keep dying. But I don't care because I told AOC she was supporting a genocide. I'm so fucking cool and badass. So base.
We're not lying. We're not lying. It's insane. You haven't been calling it a genocide. Don't tell me I'm lying. You just say it's a genocide. Just say it. Over 30,000 people are dead.
Like this happened a few days ago, right? Or was it yesterday? AOC's campaign office vandalized with anti-Israel message. Her office says she's faced multiple threats on her life in recent days. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has received death threats in recent days.
You remember when like death threats were all the right-wing thing? When the left was like mostly reasonable? Now it's like you get death threats from the left and it's just like fucking normal.
Had a campaign office vandalized with a message criticizing her for supporting Israel's war in Gaza, the campaign manager for the New York Congresswoman said Monday. Remember, okay? 2 Jewish people literally got fucking murdered coming out of an embassy by a guy talking about Palestine.
Don't forget the firebombs. Or the Molotovs. Don't forget the Molotov cocktails.
The shooting sparked outrage and has been condemned as an unspeakable act of anti-Semitism after officials said the suspect, who was in custody, shouted, "Free, free Palestine," following the shooting. Like, if any of this was happening on the right...
No, he didn't say free, free Palestine. He said that really obnoxious, free, free Palestine.
These guys would be incensed. These guys would be losing it. You have far left content creators, the largest left-wing content creators that are echoing a message that is being, or that are starting a message or like resonating with a message that's also in the entire left-wing protest apparatus. It's going out to all the demonstrators, it's going out to all the social media. And then this guy has said the same thing while murdering 2 Jewish people. And it's like, well, you're telling me that this matters that much? If this was a right-wing thing, it would be such a different conversation. Holy shit.
Nonchalance at that necessarily I'm nonchalant about Hassan with respect to the presidential election.
Sorry, buddy.
Hassan with respect to the presidential election months before the election. How on earth are you going to justify that massive conflation?
Because it's not just this.
Yes.
Your instinct is to always be like, yeah, but that's
just one thing.
Did he say river to the sea? Oh God. They're turning on Mamdani now because he said globalize the intifada was a bad and harmful thing. I mean, we knew. I knew this was going to happen, right? I think I said this a week or two ago. I said, watch, eventually they'll turn on Mamdani.
It's just this one thing. It's not a big deal. It's just this one thing, this one time. It's not a huge deal, right?
Like the lefties on social media, bro. They have collected millions of people in their audience. Millions. They could be doing so much more.
Also, Hodge is even saying something even more right here. This is one thing I give. If you have like toxic relationships or toxic friendships, I think one indicator that you should probably like ditch a relationship or ditch a friendship is if this is like a neutral point in your relationship, and this is like a good relationship, and this is like a bad relationship. If you find yourself stuck in some loop where you are constantly fighting to go from shit to barely neutral, like sometimes people view this as kind of a victory. Like, okay, well, we got over this fight, we got over this thing, we figured out that issue, I guess, and then there's like another fight, and it's like, and you're in this cycle. Don't think about it as though if I try really hard, maybe I can be neutral in this relationship. Instead, you should think about what if instead of like just wasting all my time on this bullshit, what if I was just putting time into something more positive? So instead of like fighting so hard to get these relationships neutral, I was like fighting hard to get like a positive relationship, right? Don't imagine a world where lefties aren't shitting on AOC or aren't shitting on Democratic candidates. Imagine a world where lefties are shitting on the right wing instead, where we had all of Antifa that was against Trump, where we have a whole bunch of people mobilized against Trump because of the Israel genocide or whatever, right? Like, wouldn't that be a much better world?
To help us like stop fascism, and every time I bring it up, you guys are like, "Oh, here Hodge goes again."
So I critiqued heavily. I critiqued heavily, and oh, by the way, Ogre Boy, I don't know. I think he might be on my Twitch actually. Do you want me to ban him? So I critiqued massively people who said, don't vote for Kamala, sit out the vote. The pro-Palestinian people. You see me on my Twitter having Twitter wars with these people. I think they're fucking shitty opinions, stupid. I've confronted them on stream, and me being nonchalant about, okay, yeah, this isn't gonna matter. I don't really think it's gonna have a material effect. It's not to lessen the condemnation. Fuck Hassan. I just want to say one more time. Hassan Piker. I hate what he stands for. I don't know what you want me to say. Like, Hassan. You want this virtue signal from me. You want this virtue signal. You want me to virtue signal and be like, these people. Them. They didn't vote for Biden. They didn't vote for Kamala. I disavow. All I'm saying is, you're crazy. It's going to have a material effect. It's not going to have a material effect. Now, what if you're saying
nothing? The entire unification of the online left-wing media. Like, also remember, this is a big difference too. I don't even think Pisco actually believes this. I think he's just like in debate mode right now, or he's lying to himself, which would be the worst thing. Maybe he's lying on the platform. I can't tell. But like, the difference is like the left. I don't even know. No, I can't even finish the thought because there's no way he actually believes this. I was going to say the difference is like the left wing will be like, oh, like it doesn't matter, or it's not our job to educate people, or who cares about any of this shit. And then meanwhile, Charlie Kirk is like, I visited 300 college campuses last year in order to recruit people to Turning Point USA, and also I have a phone call with Donald Trump every 2 weeks so that we can coordinate strategy because I do think it matters, right? Like the difference is just so unbelievable.
If what you're saying is the purity testing in general, speaks to a broader pattern, a character that is apt to make them act a certain way, then yeah, that pattern is going to be problematic in the years to come, no doubt. But this particular manifestation
in the years to come, we can use those Dearborn voting numbers, dude.
Spamaroo. Do you think any of these things are actually real? Not real. What I meant to say was, do you think anybody actually falls for this and then pays the money and gets like fucking scammed? I bet there are people. Otherwise, why would they still do it? Oh, children. Yeah. Oh, man. Now I feel so sad. Think about like an older guy, like a grandpa, who's like, it'd be fun to do a little stream, right? And talk about my old man stuff and be an old man on the internet. And he gets fucking scammed. Also, hi, Casper!
Of it, it's not gonna fucking matter, bro. It's just they're gonna forget about it.
It is not just Hassan, and we should stop looking at this particular thing in a vacuum. This is a systemic problem with that
that's been happening for years. Entire
media ecosystem. Do you understand that?
So Bad Empanada, Hassan. Let's name names. Let's name names. Hassan.
Pull up the tweet.
We're nothing special. We're yelling about leftists and how they want more Palestinians to die.
Which one? Which tweet?
The AOC tweet where she talked about her vote yesterday. Let's take a look at the replies and we'll see what we see.
Hutch, I feel like one point that you haven't really responded to is the idea that AOC literally made like this exact same vote like a year and a half ago.
Years ago, yes.
They didn't entitle like this. I don't know what to tell you. They
did. Wait. The DSA, the national DSA officially unendorsed and removed her from their slate of candidates because of this exact vote that Econoboy is referencing.
Was it AOC's official account or was it her press, the AOC updates thing?
I think
let me show.
Just imagine this through line for anything else, right? Imagine we come up to, it's 1 month before an election. It's like, okay, guys, you know what? Hutch had a point. It's a problem. What are we going to do now about this? What are we going to do? All right, guys, maybe it is a problem. What are we going to do now? Well, now you're fucked because now we're way too late to fucking do anything about this. Testing, 1, 2. All right, what should we look on this? I don't even know what this guy's positions are on things. I think I've seen him on Piers a few times though.
Oh boy.
This is timestamp for how the far right recruits veterans and kids to join the movement. If you want to watch later on.
I was a horizontal light combat engineer.
Daily Wire. Wait, what the fuck is this? DW documentary? Does that stand for Daily Wire? I think it is, right?
Spoiler alert, you're going to see every major leftist content
Is it
creator.
this one?
Yeah.
That's okay. That's right.
Scroll down and see what you see.
All right, so let's see. Marjorie Taylor Greene's amendment does nothing to cut off offensive aid to Israel nor end the flow of U.S. munitions being used in Gaza. Of course I voted against it. What it does do is cut off defensive Iron Dome capacities while allowing the actual bombs killing Palestinians to continue. I've long stated I do...
What? We're literally right in the middle of this. Why? Do we really care about this? You're trolling, right? This is a joke.
Not believe that adding to the death count of innocent victims to this war is constructive to its end. That is a simple and clear difference of opinion that's long been established. I remain focused. Francesca Fiorentini, you knew it was going to pass, so why not take a stand against military aid to Israel, even if sponsored by Green? Your progressive colleagues, far more vulnerable than you, stood on business against genocide. You got to buck the liberal Zionist lobbyists in your ear.
You don't need to read all the words. Just scroll down. They're all in there.
I wish there was a way for me to accurately express how very little I care about Hassan's clothes. I understand people think he's like a fashion guy. I understand this video is clowning on him for his fashion. And I still do not believe it could be possible for me to care less about it. With all due respect to you, Cosmic.
Kyle Kalinske ratioed her. Kyle Kalinske, one of the most prominent voices in this space, ratioed her and called her pathetic.
Yep.
And you guys don't think it's going to make her job more difficult down the line if she wants to make a run at the presidency.
Wait. Did he call her pathetic, or did he say that this is pathetic?
Says, oh my God. That can't possibly be the like most people are reading it that way? Seriously?
Right here, this is pathetic. This
are we being a bit pedantic? No,
we're not. Wait.
Like she called her action pathetic.
So when I say that Biden was pathetic when he did X and it doesn't mean that I call Biden pathetic. Now, by the way, I do call Biden pathetic. But that's just separate. But like, they're not necessarily the same thing.
Wait, what? Why? Who is this? Who are you talking about? Who's my unfashionable brother? Oh. Tiny? Wait, who are you talking about? Do you see the clothes that I wear on stream? I wear like a fucking t-shirt. Yeah, I just wear a fucking t-shirt with... No, listen. Don't you dare call this shirt from the Smithsonian, okay? About Apollo 13, one of the proudest moments of our country's history, a bad t-shirt, all right? Unfashionable does not equal bad, okay?
I've seen Kyle Kalinske criticize people.
Where were we? Oh, we're getting triggered over here.
Matters. It doesn't necessarily extend beyond that. So, and I want to be clear about something. I don't think that this is like needed criticism. The lefties are going to continue to support her. If she would be on like in a panel between her, Gavin Newsom, fucking Governor Shapiro, who do you think they're going to vote for?
$1 billion launch? It wasn't the launch.
Who do you think they're going to vote for? They're going to vote for AOC.
Yeah, so SDL says this is wrong. Jenk says, I know why you voted for it.
The launch isn't where they fucked up. I believe there was a defect in a valve for the oxygen tanks. And when they went to stir the tanks, it blew the valve. They did not launch a bad computer. What? Atlantis is still around. What are you talking about? A routine stir of an oxygen tank ignited damaged wire insulation inside of it, causing an explosion that vented the contents of both of the SM's oxygen tanks into space. If you're talking about the space shuttles, no, it didn't knock out their navigation. Well, it knocked out their navigation because their power ran low with all of the electrical power that they ended up having to do, right? With all the rerouting of systems power. Yeah, so they had to reorient their burn manually because they had to reroute electrical power. But the problem was that one of the oxygen tanks blew and then it leaked a bunch of their oxygen into space. And then Ocean Gate. Apollo 13. No. So the blowing of the oxygen tank was insulation inside of a wire that ignited. That was as instantaneous as it can be. But Apollo 13, they all survived. The behaviors of my mods are not necessarily endorsed by Jordan or Jordan World. You wish it wasn't instantaneous? I'm trying to understand what you mean by you say you wish those people in Ocean Gate didn't die instantly. And then you're glad that it happened. Please clarify that, because that's what it looks like you're saying. Once again, the opinions of the mods of Jordan World don't necessarily reflect the opinions of Jordan himself. What the fuck is happening right now, chat? You think those passengers knew? The passengers were probably told it was safe. There was a dad and his fucking kid on there. Good Lord. The world is losing its fucking mind. Holy shit. People fucking died. Like, yeah, we're glad we learned a lesson from it and all of that, but people fucking died. Families are without their family members. It's not a happy thing. And it's fucking sad, Cosmic. So Cosmic, you're pro Luigi? You a pro Luigi guy? Pretty sure Casper is. I don't know what to say. I'm disappointed, guys. Big disappointed. What do you mean, what am I talking about? Why are we glad that people died? Casper said she was happy that they died. Actively positive feelings over the fact that they died. I didn't say to feel sorry about it, but do you feel actively happy about it? You think it's a good thing that they died? Would you like them to have suffered more? Because that's what Casper said. You literally said less than instantaneous. So not only are you glad that they died, you're glad that it happened, you wished it was longer. See? And I don't agree with that kind of point of view. I think that's awful. I don't care if they're rich, poor, whatever. I don't think people should fucking suffer. You said you were glad it happened. What does that mean? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that, Cosmic. That was a misclick. Where did you clarify? Oh, it's apathy? Well, then fucking say that. Jesus. Afterwards. I have the same apathy that people have for people who die around the world at any time. I did not want them to suffer more. I don't know why you want them to suffer more. Okay. How is that what I said? That's not... Casper! You said you wish it was less than instantaneous, which means they had no suffering, and you specifically wanted them to suffer. That's not the same as saying, wow, I care about their suffering more than anybody else. My response is not that. My response is to you saying you wish that their death had taken longer. What does that have... What the fuck does that have to do with what I said, Cosmic? Where does they knew what they were getting into equals I wish they had died longer, taken longer to die? What? It almost certainly does. So that's what you were thinking specifically? I wish they had died nicely and it had just taken a little longer? Is that what you were saying? What exactly would that have accomplished? Cosmic, you are on some other shit. No, not at all. Not at all. Literally not, thank you. You wanted their death to last longer because you wanted them to know what they had done, right? That's what you said. You want them to know what they had done. How would that have changed anything? Thank you. What? I don't like wishing suffering on people. Whatever. You can say what you want about it. You can say that's soy, whatever the fuck. That is a line for me. I don't like wishing suffering on people who don't deserve sympathy. In general, I don't like wishing suffering on people. Jesus fucking Christ. What fucking world are we living in right now? Holy shit. It's just sadism, for sadism's sake. I would if there was someone who I thought should die, I'd rather they die quickly. Yes. Why stoop to their level? This is why we do. This is why we find humane ways for execution. What? So, hang on. You believe that making certain people suffer, right? Not just executing them humanely, but specifically going on and making them suffer is good for humanity, is good for society, Cosmic? They would have suffered. Mental anguish is also suffering. And by the way, most of the people in that sub probably didn't need it. I read it again. That doesn't change my question to you. Do you think suffering is good for society? Forcing war criminals or people who have wronged people to suffer is good for society. I don't agree. That's mob justice, Casper. That's literally mob justice. So Cosmic, do you believe that our methods of execution that we use should dole out suffering equal to the crimes committed? So, for example, someone who's on death row for murdering a bunch of people, should they be tortured before they die? or should they just be executed? I agree with the death sentence. I don't agree with inhumanely putting people to death. I don't agree with torture. That's fine. That's what you would feel. What you would feel is not the same as what the law should be. Cosmic. No, it is not mob justice by definition. The rule of law, due process, is by definition not mob justice. Sort of. Generally, when we talk about sentencing, it is done mostly for the good of society. But yeah, it depends on the type of crime. Ideally, what they do, right, if they put someone in prison for life, for example, it's because they believe they cannot go out and function in society. And you guys are being fucking sadistic, so fuck off. How dare you call me dense when you guys are wishing suffering upon people? This is gross. I would not advocate for the suffering of a human being. If I wanted them dead, I want them dead. That's it. I'm not going beyond that. It's not right. I've seen a lot of fucking suffering in my life. I've seen people starving. I've seen people dying from starvation with my own fucking eyes. I've seen violence all over the world. No, I don't want to see that shit. I don't wish for it on anybody. I don't care if it's my worst enemy. I don't wish torture. I don't wish suffering. I'm not okay with it. What about the other passengers, Casper? Well, because they're rich? There it is. This is the argument I'm getting right now, Daniel. I don't even necessarily care that much that he died. But wishing that it took longer? No, I don't agree with that. I'm never going to agree with that. Yes! What do I gain from their suffering? Nothing! A little bit of fucking catharsis? I'm not here to jerk myself off. Right. I don't know where this idea that the passengers all knew that it was going to fucking blow apart came from. No, Daniel. They're not innocent because they're rich. You forgot that part. 9 of those people... Oh, none. Oh, Daniel. You made a good point. Oh, that's unfortunate, buddy. That's so unfortunate. Oh. What a shame. What a shame. I thought you were just arguing against suffering, Daniel. Jesus, why would you wish that upon me? Are you for real, yeah? Or are you just memeing right now? Because I don't know how to react to that. No, like, I'm trying to understand, like, if you actually want to get rid of humane methods of execution, or if you're just memeing right now. Where they, like, poke the holes in the crabs and take the blood out, if that's what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, Daniel. I don't know what's going on, dude. I have no idea why everybody's being so fucking tanky today. Oh, that's not what you're talking about? That's why we need you here, bud. That's why we need you here. Let me look it up. Crab factories. Is this gonna, like, get me the right answers? Cosmic, fucking cope hard, okay? I don't delight in other people's misery, even if they're horrible people. Not misery, suffering. Misery, I don't care as much about if they're horrible people. But, like, straight up suffering? No. They get shocked. Crab processing line. Yeah, I don't think I'm finding it. Can you give me like a link? I'm curious now. I'm not, look, I understand the urge. I understand the urge to want to exact a level of cathartic revenge upon people. But that doesn't mean we have to succumb to that. We're supposed to be better. Ooh, what do we got? Oh, this is gonna be awful, isn't it? It's gonna be fucked up. I'm gonna turn the sound off. Never mind. Oh no, I have to because that's copyrighted. But love the Lord of the Rings music. I think they get stunned. So they don't feel it. They're building a crab. Oh, yeah. Gets comment of the night. It's gross. Yeah, it's gross. If I had a stronger will, it would turn me vegan. But not like an obnoxious vegan, like Vegan Gains. Yes, Daniel, that's how that works. Right? Because no billionaires allowed. Build a reverse slaughterhouse. Build the robot crabs! The robot crabs! You think I was serious with that argument, Cosmic? You think that was seriously the point I was trying to make? Honestly? So what is our criteria for billionaires who deserve the guillotine? Have I ever said anything like that to you, Casper? Ever? Once in my entire time knowing you. I don't understand this idea that you have to want certain people to suffer if you're a human. I don't think that's realistic. The comment I made was about the general billionaires need to deserve to die. It wasn't necessarily rooted to the overall argument. It was just a random poke at lefties. You're just assuming that all humans think that way, Cosmic, because you do. I'm not an exception. There are plenty of people who it doesn't matter who the person is, they don't want to, like, impose suffering on people. Is that what I said? Can someone check the VOD if that's what I said? I mean, like, I could name my parents, for example. Of course I'm angry at people. I believe in capital punishment, Casper. But I believe in humane capital punishment. That view is entirely consistent, Cosmic. Don't know why you're laughing. Because if you were put in that situation where you had the option to decide if someone would suffer, what would you do? If you felt that that person should suffer personally, Cosmic, would you make them suffer? When they die is one thing. If we're talking about a criminal who has gone through the due process, who has been convicted of a crime, yeah, there's catharsis, and it's deserved. This is not that. And the idea that somehow it's okay to extend that to wishing suffering on people, whether they did crimes or not, and having that suffering actually put upon them, no, that's a different thing. That's not the same thing. That's beyond that. No, Sleepy, there's no way in hell he's going to prison on this. How does it change anything, Casper? How does them knowing change anything? What do you gain from that? So, like, if they said they would have known for like a minute or 2 minutes that they were going to die, would you have said, oh, good, at least they knew they fucked up before they died? Is that what you would say? Okay, we have a very, 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 very fundamental disagreement. I'm getting back to the video.
But just saying Israel needs defensive doesn't address the question why we pay for it, why do we owe them anything.
They're all making videos about it. They see one person do it, and then they all feel like they have to do it. You know what I mean? Because
how hard? Can I ask you something? How hard are they going in their videos?
They're going. They are savaging her right now, bro. And they're going to do the same thing to Mamdani at a certain point. I promise you, it's going to happen.
But Hutch, again, I think that there's
dude, Cosmic, shut up, dude. Fuck off. Okay, this is how I feel. You've made it clear how you feel. I disagree. You can't just assign your feelings onto me because they don't agree with yours. That's not how this works. You assume everybody thinks like you. Not everybody thinks like you.
kind of two things being said here, but these views are ultimately compatible. Look, I think that it's true that she's getting a heap of shit from a heap of leftist creators online, but that's totally compatible with the idea that...
Really? I can't think something is morally wrong because it's not the same as my feelings? If I think something is morally... If I think something is morally dubious, I can't hold that belief because you feel that way? That's bullshit, Cosmic. I'm obviously saying morally wrong. This is a moral question. It has no bearing on correct or incorrect. This is a completely moral question. Great, Cosmic. Good one.
Look, at the end of the day, I don't think that this represents like a significant setback to AOC's political journey or political career.
Your instinct is to always minimize the shit.
No.
All of you guys, all three of you. I'm so.
You know when people come to me and they ask me like, "Are you ever like upset that Hitler killed himself before the Allies got to him?" I'm like, "No, he's fucking dead. Fuck that guy." That was it. That's my response. He's dead. That was what mattered. He's gone. Because what, you think once he's dead, he's going to fucking remember the suffering he went through? No, he's going to be fucking dead. What do I care? As long as he's gone. He did. What do you mean? What justice? What more justice would he have gotten than being dead? He would have been executed. There you go, Sleepy. Look, in his case, the end result is the same, okay? We all know what he did. It wasn't like a question with other criminals where it's obvious we need to gather all of the evidence and make sure. The Nuremberg trials in a lot of cases were formalities. They were done to preserve the due process and the way that our government works. With Hitler, he would have been sentenced to death and he would have been killed. Humanely. He killed himself. It was done. What needed to happen happened.
Resolved in this, it's not even funny.
No, like, your instinct to maximize
whenever I bring it up, you guys are always prone to be like, it's not that big of a deal, bro. It's not that big of a deal. You never want to fucking call it what it is. These people are toxic. That's what I'm.
If there's no amount of suffering sufficient for those animals, then why even apply suffering at all? Just get the job done. If he's dead, he's not going to be thinking about how much he suffered. He's going to be fucking dead.
Dang.
Hutch, they can be toxic and they can, like you said, they can make her life a bit harder, but that doesn't mean that they are a significant needle mover in left-wing spaces in actually existing... Hutch, you're not even disagreeing. Do you disagree with anything I just fucking said?
Do you disagree with what he said?
Yes, I completely reject...
Anyway, yeah, Sleepy had a very interesting question. Sleepy. Obama is definitely not going to jail. This is one of the most obvious attempts to distract from Epstein I could have possibly ever seen. It is some stupid shit where they just literally, unless there's stuff that she hasn't released yet that we haven't seen, she's releasing shit that we already knew that nobody claimed was the case, that nobody was covering up, that they were honest and upfront about since the beginning, that they didn't even claim that Russia was going in and hacking election machines. They literally just re-released old information, said it was a big bombshell to distract from Trump and the Epstein shit.
I completely reject this notion that these guys don't have an influence in electoral politics.
That's
You're
not
wrong.
what we're saying, Hutch.
Yes,
We're
you
not
are.
saying that. No, I'm not, Hutch. You can have an influence.
You're saying they don't move the needle that much. That's what you're saying.
They don't. There's no
You're
evidence
wrong.
that they. Hutch, there's no evidence.
He needs the Dearborn voters.
That they move the needle that much when it comes to at least like progressive people like AOC. Like again, I would agree that look, this is going to be a bitch every time she when she goes and gets interviewed by Kyle Kalinske and Crystal Ball. This is going to be a question that gets brought up. It's going to be a criticism of her. People are going to like, oh my goodness, fuck AOC. I'm going to vote for Jill Stein for the 14th time in a row, and that's going to fucking amount to something.
Yeah, but like, yeah. Oh, you were joking about Obama. We all have dreams, though. Oh, yeah, fair enough. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Epstein. They just gave Ghislaine Maxwell immunity, but Trump's AG is talking to her, so who the fuck knows what they're gonna say? Who even knows? Like, do we even trust that? They're gonna, like, put her testimony forward, but, like, we need to see, like, at this point, I don't think anyone's going to be satisfied until they see, like, the fucking files and the fucking lists. Yeah, this is going to be bad. It's going to be bad. Like, I'm not going to trust it. Because they keep wanting to release everything but the fucking files. They wanted to get the grand jury testimony, which wouldn't have given us any information about the other people. They're going to Ghislaine Maxwell to get her, like, testimony. And it's Trump's AG who's going there to get it, right? One of his AGs. And they're probably going to redact, like, a bunch of shit on that list or whatever and only choose who they reveal. They're doing everything but releasing the actual files, which is so sus because we just found out that he was in the files. Like, legitimately confirmed he was in the files. We don't know to what capacity, but we know he was in them. Oh, what else broke? No, they didn't know. The passengers didn't know. They did not. You have to sign a waiver for all kinds of stuff, Cosmic. Do you know how many? You have to sign a waiver for. To sign a waiver for skydiving, it's extremely unlikely you're going to die skydiving. I'm pretty sure if you go on like a submersible, probably even James Cameron's fancy submersible, you probably have to sign a waiver. This was an official act, Sleepy. They were investigating Russian interference in social media and possibly in the election. They were absolutely telling people that it was safe. These passengers were not like submarine engineers. They didn't know. The idea that they had some sort of clue that they were getting into some unsafe thing does not appear to be the case from the way, like Sleepy Joe said, the whistleblower or anybody after the fact was talking about it. I don't understand where this position is coming from. Sleepy, Jesus Christ. Along with him, I suppose.
time. Like, yeah, that's going to happen, Hutch. But obviously, there's a difference between saying that, yeah, a margin of people are going to be upset about this and going to be moved away.
Wait, what? What, you have an interview with the FBI coming up?
From her. But to your point, you agree that this isn't aggregately going to hurt AOC because you think this was the politically correct thing for her to do.
No. I didn't tell you that I think that maybe she's not going to win like her next re-election.
Redact.dev is getting advertised a little too often, Cosmic. I'm sure there's just a scandal waiting for them. At the FBI? Ooh, doing what? Huh. Oh, that's so cool. That'd be so cool, dude. Are you kidding me? Oh, I got nothing and I've never used the stuff, but it gets the people upset. What gets the... Wait, what gets the people upset? The redact.dev? I just want to be Keanu in Point Break. Dude, FBI field agent would be so cool. Come on. That'd be such a cool job. Are you kidding me? I missed Tiny today, by the way. What was he talking about? Around about 100 mass-produced private, so the amount will increase shit. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. I just think this idea that ooh, they knew what they were getting into. There was a super high chance they were gonna get sliced into a trillion tiny little fucking pieces by an imploding sub when they were absolutely led to believe that everything was safe and good and this new great technology. I think that's unreasonable. I do not believe these passengers knew that they were getting into a particularly dangerous situation. None of the evidence seemed to suggest that. It is. I've been in submarines before. Would be a sick job. I don't know if it's going to be a good idea. I have like a month to schedule the interview, so I guess I can think about it. I just don't want to get my butt fucked with a relocation far away, to be honest. Oh, fair enough. Right, but we would be looking at like accidents per capita, essentially. Right? Because like when we compare plane crashes to car crashes, we don't go 1-to-1, right? We look at like accidents per, you know, whatever. I don't know how they do them, but I know it's like per something. It's not just this many accidents versus this many accidents. Oh no, Casper! Unfortunate. And Sasper was like on it today too. This is just an unfortunate turn of events at this point. Single person helicopters are sick. Yeah. Sasper? Was that not Sasper? Yay. Cool. I don't know. It felt pretty sassy. There's no underwater FAA though, so sub probably wasn't inspected. No, it wasn't. It wasn't that it wasn't inspected or that it couldn't be inspected, because there are inspections. They were not submitting to those inspections. Casper, we're gonna have to celebrate on stream. But they had been skipping inspections. Yeah. But nobody knew that. Like, passengers didn't know that. As far as passengers were concerned, everything was above board. They had, you know, done all the shit, crossed all their T's, dotted all their I's. 100%, yeah. I'm sorry, Casper. I wasn't aware that you were an expert in submarine materials and control systems. I wasn't aware that the regular person was an expert in submarine materials and control systems. Did you know that carbon fiber was particularly weak? I mean, I knew this, but did you know that carbon fiber was particularly weak to repeated pressure changes? Would you have known that going in there? Do you think the average person would have known that? It is. It absolutely is, Cosmic. You're 100% wrong about that. Repeated pressure changes on carbon fiber create microfractures. This is super well known. Yep. This focus on that carbon fiber is subject to microfractures with increased pressure changes. How is that not super well known? Carbon fiber is particularly brittle in a lot of ways. No, you should be facepalming yourself. Repeated pressure changes over a long period of time will cause microfractures in carbon fiber. This is why we don't use carbon fiber for things like the outer shells of spacecraft. No, it was not. There's no way. If they did, it would have been like one time. Or not to do with like pressurized capsules more specifically. Right. Structural elements, heat shields, rocket nozzles. These are not pressurized. These are not pressurized capsules though. They're good for like extreme temperature changes. Carbon fiber is more prone to compression and fatigue damage than materials like steel or titanium. Has limitations when subjected to external pressure. Like in submarines. Oh, I love it when I'm right about stuff. Again, they use them on non-pressurized components, Cosmic. They're particularly good for heat shields. What up, Daniel?
Oy Faye. Some people tonight.
Hey. Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, no, like
Did
the
they
thing about
actually
carbon.
end up using it long term? Because that's a terrible idea if they are. Unless it's like a blended composite that's not just carbon fiber. I can't read the article. It's paywall.
But yeah, like use archive.ph.
I'm still not
But
used
but
to
you
it.
know the problem was the problem is that the the problem is that he was using a composite blend of carbon fiber and titanium, and the weak spots was where those
Would have been the
materials were joined
edges.
together.
Yep. Yep.
And the window for viewing was not rated. But all of these details were just like these were just done under the table, so no one knew about it except Stockton Rush and the people who tried to warn him and the individuals who resigned from the company or were fired.
Right. That's true. Hit both of our pressure targets. Withstanding incredible pressures is not the same as pressurizations. But also, it's important to note, are these reusable? Oh, this would be part of the Starship. Okay, let me look at this. Because this would have to be a very particular type of composite. Because straight carbon fiber is going to develop stress fractures. Musk even said, even though carbon fiber has incredible strength to weight, when you want one of them to put super cold liquid oxygen, liquid methane, particularly liquid oxygen in the tank, subject to cracking and leaking, very difficult thing to make. Sheer scale of it is also challenging because you got to lay out the carbon fiber in exactly the right way on a huge mold. You got to cure that mold at temperature, and then it's really hard to make large carbon fiber structures, do all those things, and carry incredible loads. There's no way this is just carbon fiber, though. This has to be a composite. It's just Musk doesn't really know anything, so I have to see if there's any more about this. Hang on. Nope. They ditched the carbon fiber tank and they went with stainless steel as well for the tanks. Hey! Dad is now sub for 2 months. Everybody claps for Dad. This was back when? In 2016? It was like a couple years ago that they ditched the carbon fiber. When was this? This test was in 2016. Yeah, so this test was in 2016, Cosmic. They ended up ditching the carbon fiber tank design and going with stainless steel. But one test is not going to be enough to fuck the thing up. There's an ES article in the chat from 2030. Okay. Okay. Cryo fuel tanks. Why? Corrosion resistance. Right. The payload. Okay, but these are not reusable tanks. If it's not reusable, then it's probably not going to be a problem. The problem comes when you're talking about repeated pressurizations and depressurizations. Right, because otherwise the Titan... Then it has to be a particular composite. Carbon composite materials. You know what? I want to talk to my buddy Jeremy about this, actually. He works with a lot of these materials. He's like worked on building, like he's working on the materials for the SpaceX, is it the SpaceX lander, I think. It's either the SpaceX lander or the Blue Origin lander for the moon. And Steele knows a lot about material science as well. But I definitely know repeated pressurizations and depressurizations can cause stress fractures in carbon fiber. That is how this sub failed. And this is a pretty well-known issue with it. The stress microfractures. So this is either like a composite or, like you said, a new weave. That's not what he said. Daniel, is that what you said?
It was a combination of things that was the failing. So the carbon fiber had too much stress in it.
And it had developed microfractures, correct?
It developed microfractures.
Thank you.
So that was one of the main reasons. Another part was where it was joined to the titanium.
Right. And those are where the microfractures developed, correct?
Correct, and in other areas along the carbon fiber hull too that weren't joined to the titanium.
Thank you.
So both things are yeah, like you said, the areas where it was joined to the titanium, and areas just in the regular carbon fiber hull that developed stress fractures over time.
Thank you very much.
And then the view window.
Right, which would have been another joining. Right, basically.
And it was not rated for the depth.
It was not rated for the depth, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you're obviously, if we have a material that's going to develop microfractures over repeated pressurizations, one of the places it's most likely to develop are along the joining edges from other materials. I want to learn more about this ESA tank because it does seem very interesting, though. But they don't really go into the materials in the composite. Pull up the article. I'm looking at it here. It doesn't say what kind of composite it's made of. Also, I think pressurizations in space is going to be a different dynamic from like deep sea pressurization. Different pressure
Yes, 100%.
differentials. Yeah, it's literally
It's why you couldn't.
From 1 atmosphere to 0 atmosphere versus like 1 atmosphere to how many atmospheres?
Yeah, it's like you could not take a space shuttle automatically and say because the space shuttle can go in space that you could submerge it underwater. It's
Yeah.
completely different.
Let me see
would
what
literally have.
atmospheres. Yeah, so we're talking about, okay, so a spacecraft is going from 1 atmosphere to a little above 0 atmospheres, right? The Titan submersible was going between 375 and 400 atmospheres. So the differential in pressure is 375 to 400 times more than a spacecraft would have to deal with. And even so, Starship still went with steel over carbon fiber. It's the same order of magnitude.
And it's also designed very differently. It's for the same reason that just like a space shuttle would get crushed almost instantly underwater, a submarine,
Vastly different magnitudes.
A submarine is able to withstand immense pressure. If you took that same submarine and put it in space, everyone would suffocate because the oxygen would leak out because it's not designed to hold oxygen like a shuttle is.
Vastly different pressures. I don't know where the point of the same order of magnitude mean it's going to be the same.
Oh no, Cosmic. Oh no.
Get him. The complications vis-a-vis pressure at the bottom of the ocean are very different from in space. Yes, it is significantly harder to pressurize for the bottom of the ocean than for space travel. Engineering material shortcomings contributed. Catastrophic failure analysis presented during the MBI hearing indicated primary failure mechanism initiated at the bond interfaces between the multi-layers of the carbon fiber hull. Bonds were comprised by several factors, including manufacturing defects such as interlaminar voids, porosity, and... Is there like a full article? Why are you giving me just an imager? The Ocean Gate Titan submersible's carbon fiber hull, fuck me, experienced stress fractures and delamination, ultimately leading to its catastrophic implosion during a dive to the Titanic wreck site. Boom. And stress fractures actually can be a contributing factor to delamination. I mean, obviously, because delamination is a type of fracturing. Which I imagine, since it's caused by like shear loads, is also going to be brought on by repeated pressure changes. Yep. Yes, sirree, Bob. And then it would have been exacerbated by, if any moisture got in between the layers, that would have only made it worse. Which, if there are stress fractures in a submarine, you probably assume some moisture was getting in. Yeah? Yes? Yes? We can assume this? Pretty safe? Pretty safe to assume? Hmm? Boom. Okay. Voids from delamination. Porosity. Increasing structural fatigue. Okay. The original carbon hull had developed so many cracks that it was retired in 2019. Failure mechanism initiated at bond interfaces between the multi-layers of the carbon fiber hull. The bonds were compromised by several factors. including manufacturing defects such as interlaminal voids, porosity, and ... It doesn't have the whole thing. I have to buy it. Reports from experts suggest that repeated pressurization cycles or cyclic loading on the Titan submersible's carbon fiber hull, combined with potential manufacturing flaws and the inherent properties of carbon fiber under compression, were highly likely contributing factors to its catastrophic implosion. What's this? Delamination after only 50 dives. Significant manufacturing defects, including void problems. Tens of dives. Trips. Okay. Small breach. Tiny flow path. Oh, and now the section about pressurization. Woo. No, but this is the failure mechanism. So the whole origin of the hull breach, principal mechanism of collapse. Hermetic airtight seals elastic hull to withstand the difference of pressure. Even a small breach, tiny hole pump. This isn't like what happens. Yeah, they don't talk about what caused the hull fractures in this imagery you sent me. They literally just say, evidently, the whole sealing function was compromised. Which, like, good one, bro. Evidently it was. Correct. That is correct, Cosmic.
In the House. I said it is going to make her job more difficult in the future if she aspires to higher office. If she wants higher office,
does it make her hold on, Hutch. Does it make her job 1% more difficult or like twice as difficult?
There's no way that we can quantify this. Hold on, let's establish a couple things. Do we agree that we're talking about just a couple things? I'll be concise. Do we agree that their collective reach, all of these creators, is millions of people?
Yes.
Yes.
In the United States.
Yes.
Do we agree that the 2016
Where? All components used in the sub were stressed near or beyond their critical limits. What are you talking about? It doesn't say that at all. Separately, there is compelling evidence from material analysis for carbon hull weaknesses. This is the opposite of what you just said. Yeah, that's a criticism of the problem, Cosmic. Once you get a single microfracture, it doesn't mean it's going to fail right away. But if they keep building up, eventually it will fail. That's why they had to retire the original version 1 hull. Spam! I mean, this isn't super crazy. It's a brittle material. If it develops cracks, it's going to fail. Not right away, but not like the second it has a crack, but eventually it will. And delaminations. Both of them from repeated pressurizations and depressurizations at extremely high pressures. Alright, back to bitching about leftists. Come on. That's what we were doing in the beginning. Something we can all enjoy. Together. As a group.
presidential election was decided by 40,000 fucking votes across 3 states. Do we agree that the 2020 election was decided by 80,000 across 3 states?
Yes.
Do we agree that the 2024 election was decided by roughly 120,000 across 3 states?
I think it's a little more than that, but yes.
I thought it was like 250,000.
I think it's 200.
No, I thought it was, you read
Oh, wait, but whatever, 100,000.
The point is, all of these elections have been close, and they have millions of people in their audience, and I can't get you guys to acknowledge how potentially damaging they have been consistently over the years.
This is why, because so I want to just be clear about something. It's my prior, and you might disagree with this, Hutch, and this might be where we disagree. It's my belief that the left did not abandon Kamala in 2024. That the left, by and large, stood by Kamala.
The left, by and large, he's talking about the entire Democratic Party, though. Hutch is not criticizing the entire Democratic Party. He's talking about a hyper-radicalized group of anti-Semites that have co-opted the entire alternative left media apparatus, who are probably driving a decent number of certain cohorts of people away from voting, not the entire left.
And walked to go vote for Kamala Harris. And so given that the left did not, on average, overall, abandon Kamala, given that overall, the left got the message, they grumbled, but they walked their ass to the polls, and they voted for the lesser of two.
Like, this didn't happen. It doesn't seem like it.
Well, they got that message. The left by and large did. Not everyone, and I condemn the individuals who did it. And certainly maybe enthusiasm played some role, but I don't have evidence that the left like cost common election. So why do I think that there's evidence that materially they're going to cost AOC like some kind of election in the future, some hypothetical election? I just don't see them having that swayability for the left.
I just told you, in an election, a national election where there's 150 million people voting and it's decided by 40,000 votes, and you don't even want to entertain the notion that maybe
like, would not min-max lefty support for Kamala Harris, which could be outcome
they
determinative.
actively went against the party.
Yeah, no, but I think I agree with all that. I think it's compatible. Like, for instance, what you brought up earlier, I thought it was probably the best.
Like the DNC was even protested by the oh god, what was the name of the movement? It was one of the Palestinian movements. Somebody name it. What was it called? Hassan was out there with them literally before going in. Oh, the uncommitted movement.
The point that you made was the idea that there's evidence to suggest that like probably like 2 or 3 million people who voted for Biden decided not to vote because of like essentially Israel and Palestine was like a number one issue. And this seemed to be a group of overwhelmingly progressive people because they said that they would
like,
rather vote
what
for something
kind
like
of
Trump.
a left-leaning person are you if you're like uncommitted when the candidates are chosen, and your option is Trump with all the rhetoric he was saying like on Gaza? Like if you. And the worst thing is like even in hindsight. Cosmic, I'm not saying they were not present during a previous dive. The microfractures were present. Of course they were present. Them being present doesn't mean it was... They're going to build up, and eventually they're going to get to a point where it fails. Having microfractures in a previous dive doesn't mean it was going to fail on that dive. It's like a straw. It's like the straw that broke the camel's back, right? At one point you reach the limit and then it fails. So any microfractures doesn't mean it was going to fail. You understand? I think Hutch got blindsided. They're trying to gaslight him so far. He's about the only same one. I don't know if it's just me, but Josiah seems to have gotten more radicalized. He does. He does. He did get more radicalized. He's been far left. But, like, Cosmic, this is, like, known. Like, just do some searches about carbon fiber material over repeated high pressurizations and how it can develop fractures that have... Because of the fractures, Cosmic. Because of the fractures. And the delaminations. That's how that happened.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just me, but it almost seems like they're trying to crazy make Hutch.
I agree, but can we pause for a second? Look, I just want to wrap this up, Cosmic. The dislocations along the carbon titanium, not fusion, okay, because they weren't fused. That's not necessarily true, because there were defects in the carbon fiber. And, as Daniel already pointed out, there were microfractures along the hull that wasn't attached to the titanium as well. So it may have taken longer if there weren't those seams in those attachments, and they might have been able to get away with replacing the hull, but it would have developed the same issues and eventually it would have failed. Correct. The window was not made of the same material as the hull, Cosmic. The fractures developed around the edge of the window. But there were fractures that developed along the hull that wasn't attached to anything, like to any other separate piece. I don't know why we're still arguing this, buddy. This is like, all of the articles you've posted have backed up what I've said. Even everything you've said here backs up what I'm saying. Thank you, Daniel. Finally, a facepalm on my side. Jesus Christ. Look, I don't want to spend too much time on this. I'm just going to read an AI answer, because I don't want to go looking for every fucking thing. I'm going to read the AI answer. If you find stuff that goes against this, Feel free to share it. Reports from experts suggest that repeated pressurization cycles or cyclic loading on the Titan submersible's carbon fiber hull, combined with potential manufacturing flaws and the inherent properties of carbon fiber under compression, were highly likely contributing factors to its catastrophic implosion. Here's why. Cyclic fatigue and material weakening. Repeated dives to extreme depths subjugated the Titan's hull to immense pressure fluctuations, causing cyclic fatigue. Unlike more ductile materials like titanium, carbon fiber can experience microscopic cracks or delamination with each cycle, leading to a gradual accumulation of damage and weakening over time. That's why, when you were talking about the prior dives where they had the cracks, the point was it's a gradual weakening of the material, right? It's not going to happen right away. According to ScienceDirect.com, this can make the joint between the carbon fiber cylinder and the titanium end caps especially susceptible to degradation, which I also said, that where it's attached to those other pieces, you're going to see the most of that weakening. It's just Google. It's just fucking Google. Carbon fiber properties. Carbon fiber, while possessing high tensile strength, exhibits different behavior under the intense compressive forces present at deep ocean depths compared to more traditional submersible hull materials like steel and titanium. Is considered less predictable under these conditions and more prone to fracture or shattering when its limitations are exceeded. Potential manufacturing defects. Evidence suggests that the carbon fiber hull of the Titan submersible had imperfections dating back to the manufacturing process, including wrinkles, porosity, and voids. These flaws would have acted as stress concentrators, further compromising the hull's integrity under pressure and accelerating the process of material degradation. As you'll notice, it said further compromising and accelerating, right? Not the cause. It's important to note that the implosion likely happened instantaneously given... Okay, yeah, we know that part. No, everybody's reeing about that part. They don't like that part. Don't tell us that it was instantaneous. We don't like that. While the exact sequence of events leading to the implosion is still under investigation, the combination of cyclic loading, the properties of carbon fiber under compression, and potential manufacturing defects are considered the most probable causes of the hull's failure. And I'm surprised we're even having this argument, because I remember everybody writing this and talking about this when it happened.
Or something for president. But I think that's in part one of the big reasons why I say even that criticism I don't think is very good, because I don't think that AOC can plausibly be framed to this group of people as someone who's a soft pussy on Israel-Palestine. This is somebody who says, look, Israel's committing a genocide, Netanyahu's a war criminal. She probably commits
That doesn't matter though. These people don't want just that. These people want the abolition of Israel as a state. That's the starting point.
Make my point for me. She has a strong position on Israel-Palestine, and it's not enough for these fucking lunatics.
No, but we agree that it's not enough for...
And even though Sleepy Joe and I might disagree on certain things about Israel, I'm pretty sure Sleepy Joe isn't an Israel state abolitionist. That's not necessarily true, Cosmic.
leftist content creators, right? So I would agree with that, but I don't think that in the course of a long campaign...
I understand you believe carbon fiber is incredible, but there are weaknesses to it, okay?
Carbon fiber is a limited use thing when you're talking about diving with submersible vessels. You're only going to get a certain amount of use out of it before the hull fails. So even if there wasn't any titanium composites that were joined to it, this submarine was eventually going to fail, especially the way that they cut corners with maintenance. But even if they were manufacturing
too.
Yeah, but even if they were doing the really best, carbon fiber is not designed.
Yeah.
It's not designed to hold up, which is why the majority of submarines that are built use titanium.
Titanium and steel. Yep. Sleepy Joe. I was actually taking a shot at the crazies. That was less about you and more about how insane they are.
Which crazies? You've got to be more specific.
The abolition of the Israeli state crazies.
Oh, on the video or in Discord?
Oh, and the ones that Tiny was talking about in the video we're watching. Yeah, I was just saying that, like, you know, you and I disagree, obviously, on certain things vis-a-vis Israel. Well enough so. The instant failure? No, the instant failure was due to the pressure. The instant failure was due to the pressure.
And so just someone who knows she's running for president, but nonetheless, let's just assume that she is. During the course of the long-term campaign that she's going to be a part of, I don't think that you can plausibly represent these people.
If they were, you know, near the nearish to the surface, like a couple atmospheres depth, they actually might have even survived, right? It would have snapped. But if they had, like, you know, a couple atmospheres pressure, would have only been like 20, 30 meters down. The like 3 atmospheric pressures, it would have broken. They would have had an opportunity to survive. Yes. Actually, yes, Cosmic. The inward pressure from 3 atmospheres is minute compared to 375 to 400 atmospheres. No. That's not necessarily true. Let's say over time it had developed severe microfracturing, and they had not gone into any particularly deep dives, and every subsequent dive was a little bit higher and a little bit higher and a little bit higher. That would be a situation that could allow for a depressurization at a much, much, much lower depth. Or higher depth? Lower depth? What would it be? Higher depth? Shallower depth. That works.
Yeah, shallower.
Yeah, than where it failed there. And you've demonstrated you have no clue what you're talking about over and over in this conversation. So you can say I'm just using words, but you're grasping because you know you're wrong.
history is like particularly weak on Israel-Palestine, when she has all of these like consistent statements that she's made over time. And like you said, she voted against the bill in the first place. She said she wants to strip offensive aid to Israel. Like I think for a lot of these uncommitted people, these actually existing voters that decided not to vote for Kamala Harris,
the part where carbon fiber doesn't develop stress fractures from extreme pressurization. You're wrong about that. I did the research. I read it to you. And for some reason, you're deciding now that it's because of the titanium. The titanium exacerbated it because it was a seam point, which can add to them. But it literally said that was an exacerbative factor, not the causative factor. Jesus. I read your argument over and over, bro. You said it was because of the titanium, and that if there was no titanium, it wouldn't have failed. And I said, you don't know that. That's not necessarily true. And then I explained why.
point they overwhelmingly decided to vote for. But for the ones that didn't, it's not clear to me that there's much evidence to suggest that like this would make a difference between them.
Like imagine
that's
if all
not
of these people
necessarily true. And you gave me examples of spacecraft, by the way, which are either not reusable or ended up being scrapped in favor of steel or titanium, which are the types of metals that are used for most submarines for that exact reason. Yes, I agree. I agreed with that, Cosmic. I agreed with that point. That is true. But that is not the same as saying that it would not have failed without the titanium. So the highest pressure, the highest development of stress fractures and delamination were at seam points between the titanium and the windows, for example. Because when you have connective points, that's naturally where stress fractures are going to occur. That's not true. There were stress fractures across the hull outside of those edge points. That was an exacerbative factor, not the causative factor. Yes, I agree. But if it was, let's say it was fully carbon fiber, right? Let's say it was like, we'll try a couple different scenarios, okay? We'll work out a couple different scenarios. One of them I'm a lot more sure of than the other. If it were fully carbon fiber, which I don't even really know how you would do that, right? Because you're gonna have like stress points, opening points, and stuff like that. But let's say it's fully carbon fiber. Let's say we had like a teleporter, right? For whatever fucking reason. And you can teleport inside. There's no seams, there's no contact points, right? It's fully carbon fiber. And it was the carbon fiber that they used to build this hull. This specific carbon fiber had manufacturing defects. So it was already going to be affected by repeated pressurizations. It was going to develop. Yeah, but how are you going to get in and out of it, Cosmic, is what I'm saying. You'd have to have a contact point in order to get in and out of it, right? You'd have to build the door out of carbon fiber, and that is going to be a weak point, necessarily. So let's say it was a completely sealed, like, fucking carbon fiber giant pill, and you're able to teleport in and out of it, right? This material that they used in particular had manufacturing defects. And those wrinkles, those porous defects, you would have seen stress fractures and delaminations developing around those defects. So for theirs, right? Not at these pressures, Cosmic. It's just not true! Ah! Ugh. Yes, carbon fiber reinforced polymer composites can develop microfractures along edges when subjected to extreme cyclic pressures. Thank you. No! Oh my god. Nope. You have no fucking clue what you're talking about. You literally have no clue. It's because you like carbon fiber so much. You're standing carbon fiber so much. You have carbon fiber derangement syndrome, okay? You're wrong. You're absolutely fucking wrong. You are wrong. And you still don't understand. The fractures develop over time. They develop over time. You get one fracture, it's not all going to fail. Like I said, it's like a straw breaking the camel's back. Eventually you get to a point where the number of fractures is too great for the structural integrity of the sub itself. And it implodes under the pressure. I've explained this to you multiple times. I'm not talking out of my ass. I've read multiple sources on this live, and I've already known about this before. Fuck me. You must be just trolling me at this point. I'm not, and I understand that you really don't want to be wrong about this, so you're saying that, but I'm not. I can keep going, bro. I can keep going. Which one? Which paper are you referring to? Because both of them, I imagine if you opened it and read the title, it might tell you. So you've read them? Okay. They do support my argument. They do support my argument, Cosmic. And you know how I know they do? Do you know how I know they do? Because I already know this is a fact. But I would like you to go ahead and read them and tell me how I'm wrong. But you won't be able to because they support my argument. Carbon fiber composites develop microfractures under repeated cyclic stress. And in this case, that repeated cyclic stress comes from extreme pressurization cycles. And specifically, the type of carbon fiber, which are CFRPs. I mean, not if you replace the pieces in time, but eventually, yeah. Eventually, yes. They're going to lead to structural failure. Yes. The degradation happens gradually. I said that. But when you have like an extremely high pressure situation, yes, I did say that. Because you kept saying they went and they had these dives multiple times, and I said, yes. The failure the failure is going to depend on the conditions. That's going to depend on the conditions. The stress fractures develop gradually over time, over cyclic pressurizations in this case. Are you saying that as like a control? Like the submarine specifically? Then yeah. At a pressure of my choosing, I mean, it would have to be whatever structural limit it would have on the like whatever force limit it would have based on the weakening from the stress fractures at the time. The depth at which it failed, then yeah, it would always be instantaneous. Or like milliseconds. Or microseconds. Whatever the fuck it was. But that's a matter of the pressure under which it failed, right? That has nothing to do with the material. It could be any kind of material, and if it fails at that pressure, you're getting shredded into a million pieces pretty much instantaneously. Although the brittleness of carbon fiber probably meant they got shredded up. You might get sliced up or squished. Cyclical extreme pressures on carbon fiber will cause microfractures and delamination. If we're talking about like a carbon fiber piece that doesn't have a pressure differential, then no. So like if you had just like a chunk of carbon fiber that wasn't pressurized and you dropped it in the ocean and just sank all the way down, no. I guess if we put it that way, yeah. Although more specifically, the carbon fiber reinforced polymer composites. That they used on the Titan. I don't know all of the specifics either, but I do know that is the particular type of carbon fiber that was being used on the Titan, the CFRPs. Yes, we are not including the titanium in this hypothetical. The titanium added stress points. Which exacerbated it. Like, let's say, for example, in the hypothetical we were constructing, right? It's just like a fucking pill-shaped thing with no doors or edges, right? Eventually, it would develop stress fractures that could lead to hull failure. But as long as they were doing proper inspections, it should be fine, which is why they replaced the first hull. It's because they were doing proper inspections. But this isn't even... Yeah, they replaced the hull in 21, exactly. This isn't even like... They were very careless. I agree. I mean, the CEO... I mean, I'm not going to argue with you on that. The CEO, Stockton Rush, was incredibly careless, and he led to the death of himself and a lot of other people. Well, 5 of the people. Or 4 of the people? But, what was I going to say? But, like, you know, and I'm sure you know this, Cosmic. There are other materials that are not carbon fiber that display the same sort of fatigue-based cracking over time, right? Like, this happens in airframes, too, that affect the service life of an aircraft, for example. Obviously, the pressurization differential is much lower, and it's different material. But, yeah, that's what happens, right? Planes are usually made of aluminum anyway, which is subject to fracturing. Some really cool material design is they intend for it to do that, like with B-52s, I think. And they've like built it in a way where it like warps and it ends up with these wrinkles. But it's still Gucci. Well, no, that's not the stress fracturing. That's just normal design. But yeah. Oh, fuck off! So much spam tonight. Jesus. Yeah, you're right, Cosmic. You're right. You're right about that. It actually apparently makes them more aerodynamic. Which I did read that recently, but did not remember in this moment until I read it again. All right. Are we down to move on, buddy? I love you, buddy. I don't want to fight with you. I don't like fighting with you. You're my buddy. I want to finish this. Where's Neighbor Rooney been? I can't do my Mar-a-Lago deep dive without Neighbor Rooney here. Daniel, you're still hanging around? You muted? what he's doing. Okay, well, I didn't know that that was your position. I actually probably agree with that. I thought you were saying it wouldn't develop stress fractures. Because my whole point was that those connective things were exacerbative. They made the problem worse, right? Which apparently, from what you're saying, you agree with. So I think we're actually on the same page. Not forever. Not cyclically forever. Eventually, those stress fractures will cause a failure in the material. Okay, then we agree. We agree. Yeah, and it also adds, like I think I agree to be a coffin at those depths, but I think, my big thing I'm focusing on is those, and I think you agree here, based on our conversation, is that those contact points between the carbon fiber and the titanium were exacerbative to the stress fractures building up more quickly, and allowed for a catastrophic failure. An instantaneous catastrophic failure that would not have been... Well, and also the manufacturing defects. And the carelessness of lack of proper inspections and so on and so forth. Could be. I don't think they ever determined that. But you're saying, like, just to be clear, so we're on the same page, you're saying, like, a moment of implosion would be when the pressure was great enough that it squeezed those fractures together. Well, they kind of had to hit they were on the titanium caps, right? But it, like, put enough pressure where those fractures just went through the rest of the material, is my assumption. Because the fractures would have been up against the titanium. They would have developed against the titanium. And the window, I believe. That's where most of it... Well, but that's also where most of the pressure would have been concentrated anyway, because those were connective points. In general, I believe, and I could be wrong about this, But I believe in general, when we're talking about pressurizations, they focus more along connective points, because those tend to be the structurally weakest points. Right. Yeah, I think we're on the same page. So another one of the exact God, I can't speak today. Aggravating factors is that the delamination would have allowed for moisture to enter in between the layers of the carbon fiber. So over time, there were probably multiple channels that were weakening the space between, you know, the top layer and like the bottom layer of the carbon fiber. Or widening the space between the top and bottom layers. Like this. In laminated composites, the adhesion between layers often fails first, causing the layers to separate. For example, in fiber reinforced plastics, sheets of high strength reinforcement, carbon fiber, fiberglass, are bound together by a much weaker polymer matrix, epoxy, which one of these papers was specifically on carbon fiber reinforced epoxy polymer composites. In particular, loads applied perpendicular to the high-strength layers and shear loads can cause polymer matrix to fracture or the fiber reinforcement to debond from the polymer. I wonder if they mention the Titan in this article. Or in the sources. Nope. Yeah, I'll do a search, but I don't think so. Nope. But that makes sense. I think they did mention delamination in the Titan article, I think. And definitely in the ones that we were reading. Yep. And they had done no tests for delamination. Wow. So the prior hull had cracked after only 50 submersion dives, only 3 of which were to 4,000 meters. Rush lied to investors and the public, claiming the delay was related to issues with maritime law. See, that's the big thing, is like there's these passengers, they probably didn't know because they were lying about shit. And like a whistleblower came out and talked about this. And it had done dives with passengers before, you know? Go on. Oh, there's a whole article on the implosion. Did not carry vessel was not certified. Yeah, that's the crazy thing is they didn't even get it certified because they said it was an experimental vessel. Yeah, to in an unreasonable degree. Absolutely hubris. 100%. This was the whale to his Ahab. He knew. He knew what he was doing. I think from what I've read about him, he was way more about the I want to be the trailblazer type guy than the cash. I don't think he cared as much about the cash, although it was probably nice. But it seemed like he just really wanted to be that trailblazing, exploring fucking dude. If my understanding is like the way they talked to passengers about it is they had said like it's already had all these successful dives, blah 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 blah. Like if I was getting into a sub and someone had told that to me, I'd probably be like, oh, okay. Because you trust the people who are doing it because you assume they're experts. But I guess after this, people are going to be way more careful. Hey, I would trust James Cameron's submersible. That's for sure. Especially after everything he's said. No, it's manned. Hang on, I'll show you. The Deep Sea Challenger. Dude, bro, getting into it. Do you have any pictures from like... Yeah, so it's like this tiny little boat. Yeah. The real trailblazer, that man. Right? He's like a little ball. It's like a little ball in this big fucking thing versus this, right? This huge fucking thing, which is like all instruments and insane pressurization for this tiny little ball where one person sits versus this thing, which is mostly empty space. So yeah, the human area is like this part right here. And under and over it there's a bunch of shit, and all this is a bunch of shit. Oh, this is fucking cool. Oh, this makes me kind of want to show something. Bye, YouTube. Bye, YouTube. We're doing copyright stuff. Bye, YouTube.